I'm Alicia.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Summer is Fun, a Summer House Rules, or what? A Summer House podcast.
That made me think of on Disney Channel, like the crossovers. Can you imagine if we had that's what they call the at BravoCon. That's what they call the Watch What Happens Live.
God, that's where I got it. Yeah,
the Southern House
House Rules or something.
But no Southern.
So weird. No, this is just Summer House. Obviously, I'm so excited, you guys. This was reunion 1, and it was honestly so good.
This cast gives, they know how to be real people and give a reunion and be reality stars. I want a real life story, and then I want you to let's dig it all up.
Also, you know what? I didn't hate Andy being the host because these cast members know exactly what they're doing. They don't even need a host, honestly, to point them in the right direction.
And they don't really interrupt each other. They let each other talk, and they actually have discussions.
There was only 2 fights that I was I don't know what's happening. But
yeah, a dead body could host this reunion because these people are so good.
I think, I know I've really said Andy can't host these reunions anymore. You know who should host them besides us? Paige DeStorbo.
Ooh.
Paige DeStorbo would be excellent. Team Paige hosting reunions. Bravo should hire her immediately for that.
Oh my god.
I think she'd be amazing. And I think she could have hosted this reunion perfectly.
Well, I don't think they need a host. I think they can, Paige
Andy, they get a topic of discussion, put on a big board, and they're okay, now we'll talk about this.
A producer could literally throw out the questions, or they could all have a card where they all read off each a question, and they would be able to self-do this.
You could literally have dumbass Tom Schwartz figure this out. It's not that hard.
No. James Kennedy does the Summer House reunion, and Paige can do everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, but before we get into this awesome reunion, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, which is also Martha's Vineyard podcast and a Winter House podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We have It's About the Pasta, a Vanderpump Rules podcast, and One Season Wonders. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe. Meredith, I believe we have 3 new reviews.
I saw one of them, and
I'm ready.
I was Jesus.
So let's start with that one first.
Yeah.
Because it is a 1-star. Oh, and it's from Mazim123, titled Racist. Oh, no. And it says, there is such a thing as racism to white people. You say you experience racism, so it's okay for you to be racist? What the actual fuck? No, do better. Unfollowing now. Well, Mazim, thank you so much. Actually, there's no such thing as racism for white people. That'd be racial prejudice, and that's different because racism implies power, to which people of color have never had power in America. So...
Also, I didn't say it if white racism was a thing. I didn't say one makes the other okay. I just said us not bashing men wouldn't make our life better.
Also, it's white men. What if I had to pick a gender and a race I hated more? It's the white men.
White men.
Yeah, they're the most. So also,
I like that this is a continuing saga. Although this one wasn't about gender, so we're getting off that topic. So new things to fight.
Now I'm just a racist. Also, I'd like to clarify, I have never experienced the racism that most people of color have experienced. I'm 50% white. I am 50% Guatemalan. So I do have darker skin. I'm sure you could see it in the videos if you watch. I have curly hair. Yes, but I've experienced microaggressions or micro racism because there's some pretty bad racism in this country that has happened, which I cannot say I've experienced. That being said, white men don't really experience it, so I'm gonna give it to them. So my racial prejudice is white men.
Well, you're not giving them racism. Again, we are calling out white males on their behavior
who are on this show because they're the only men. They're the only men I know
we're ever gonna win. And also just like Norris over on Vanderpump Rules, you don't you don't need to tell us everything, and you definitely don't need to announce your departure. Anybody who doesn't listen, don't feel beholden to us.
Yeah, it's okay. Well,
Thanks.
thank you so much. Let's get to the 2 5-star reviews that we have.
Oh my God. I didn't see those, so this makes me
Ooh.
happy.
One is from Kefro. We'll do Kefro. And it just is 3 clapping emojis is the title.
Ooh.
And it says come for the Bravo, stay for the hating men. So what a win.
Well, that you can announce. You can definitely announce that.
Found the right podcast. And then Donatello ends with another L. So Donatello
Ooh.
Says, love it. 5 stars. Best recap podcast out right now. And forever, bitch. And forever.
We love doing it. So thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. Okay, so great. 2 5 stars negates the 1 star.
Well, you can give me all the 1 stars. I kind of think don't give me all of
them,
but I just think they're funny. It's fun to like laugh it off.
I love a 1 star. Okay. Also, please follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Vanderpasta. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our fun pre-shows where Meredith and I and sometimes Ciara talk about whatever the hell we want. Also, you get access to any episodes we record early, including this one. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we go back and we watch old seasons, which we will cover all the old seasons we haven't covered yet. We will do a Bravo after show so we can talk about Bravo news on the podcast or on the after show, but not on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then also we'll say your name on the podcast, or I'll say your name on the podcast. So thank you.
Alicia will struggle to say your name on the podcast. Although somebody told me this week that they really love when we do this. So I hope that hypes you up.
Like they love when I mess it up?
No, they like love that like everybody gets their shout out.
Oh, that's nice. I dread this, but you know when you would get like popcorn down in class and you just right? This is how I feel. So
but you just know it's coming every week.
Yeah, so I just get no sleep. So I talk about it with my therapist. It's fine. So thank you to Allie, Ashton, Chris, Darby, Dee, Gabriella, Jackie, Jamie, Jennifer, Kirsten, Casey, Kelsey, Kirby, Chrissy, Lady Swamp Witch, Lauren, Lindsay with an I, Lindsay with a Y, Robin, Sammy, Sarah L, Sarah R, Tierney, Tonette, Tracy, Allie, Amber, Anne, Ariane, Gina, Isabella, Jennifer, Kelly, Lady Nee, Leanne, Lisa, Nina, Taylor, and Tara.
Woohoo!
I did it.
You did great. You did great.
I really didn't want to mess anyone up. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope you enjoyed that. If that's your favorite part of our podcast, I'm honored because that means I'm your favorite part.
Well, anyway, let's not go that far.
Well, I'm the only one reading it. So unless you want to take a stab at it.
No.
Great. And then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when there are live seasons, which is now, this is your last final time. We'll do something for Martha's Vineyard.
The final call.
This is the final call for this show. If you want to give us your questions, comments, opinions, concerns, anything you want read on the podcast, we will read it. And I will post weekly, and that is how you get access to that. Also, we'll pick a patron of the episode. So I usually go based off of like who gave us something to work with on the post. So this week it's Lindsay with an I. She gave us some thoughts.
I love the 2 Lindsay differentiators. It's one of my favorite things to hear whenever you say the names.
Well, they both have the same starting letter of the last name, so I had to.
We can't bachelor, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't give them a last name.
So we have some housekeeping at top of the episode. First, I forgot to count everyone's fun, not fun, to see like where we were.
Yeah.
But I did it. And so, Meredith, I would like to ask you, who do you think was this season's most fun and most not fun?
Oh, I really didn't think
it's pretty on brand.
Through.
I think you can get it. I think you get each with one guess. I'll tell you that.
Really?
That's the clue. It's very obvious, I think.
I think Paige is fun.
Okay.
And I think, I'm a toss-up between Kyle, Lindsay, and Carl. I feel like we didn't really not fun Carl just based on the storylines. I kind of feel like it's Kyle.
You got it. Paige is most fun. Yeah, okay. And Kyle is most not fun.
I was just watching the after shows too, and like Kyle had a lot of tears this summer, and
Yeah.
I rolled my eyes just like Paige did in the after show, and so I was like,
Yeah.
that made me feel like he was most not fun.
Just to give you second and third place for fun, it goes Paige, Lindsay, and Wes.
Yeah.
And then for not fun, it goes Kyle, Carl, and then Lindsay. So you were
That's
right.
the
You
thing.
had the top three.
I thought I remember giving Lindsay a lot of funds, but it's not like they cancel each other out.
No,
So
that's a different
I thought
podcast.
she would be high on both of them. She definitely had up downs, which was really fun to
Yes.
see. I hate that it was at the expense of her life, but a lot going on this season.
Yeah, so you got it. And now also, I'm going to do Bravo News Corner because I found a lot today when I was like done watching this episode. First, I would like to say, Meredith, have you seen that there is a current war going on between cheesy snacks?
Yes, I love it. I reposted something about it on our Instagram story because I just think this slight drama, this is what I live for.
This is
the
funny.
petty little stuff.
So, for those of you who don't know, Kyle, Amanda, Ciara, and Carl all became influencers of like Goldfish, Old Bay.
And this happened like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So they're promoting that whole thing, which like fine. Goldfish is fine. But Old Bay, I don't know about that, but fine.
Oh,
but
they'd be delicious. Nice Cajun seasoning.
Yeah.
I might go buy some. I'm influenced.
I think I pick the other side.
This is the problem.
Like
no, just on the flavor.
I like the snack better on the other side.
Well, when I'm like looking at just when they started promoting it, I'm like, that looks delicious.
So on the other side, Cheez-It signed a deal with Lindsay Hubhouse Hubbard. Cheez-It snapped. And like, so the Goldfish clan, they just post like the snack that smells back, Old Bay or whatever.
Also, Carl got new teeth.
Oh my God, Carl's teeth are blinding. But Lindsay is now the Cheez-It snapped ambassador, let's say. And her caption, hilarious. I'm going to read it for everyone. Currently crushing life as I soak up the start of summer, blissful and relaxed on my rooftop, snacking on the superior cheesy snack, Cheez-It snapped crackers. Someone recently said being an influencer isn't a real career, even though we've seen them give it a try, fish emoji. But it seems to be working for me, maybe because I'm a woman? Well, that other snack might make those people smile back. My all-natural, 100% real smile shows just how deactivated I am in this moment.
So much in that caption.
Also, have you seen the comments?
I haven't, but really quick to break down that she went to the dentist this week too and posted with her dentist saying that her smile is real because Carl got veneers.
Terrible
so like
veneers.
Then her referencing it in the post, I'm like, yeah, yay to Cheez-Its for letting her go off because like most brands do not let you do that.
Yeah, so I looked in the comments and Cheez-Its did comment with like a sly emoji smile.
Oh my God.
But some funny comments. Whoever wrote this caption needs a raise.
I bet Lindsay did all herself.
Jesus Christ, she just committed homicide with this caption. Cheez-Its for grown-ups crushing life.
Oh, that is a good tagline.
Bravo by Bitches commented, so soft and tender.
Oh.
So it's I mean, I recommend. It was great.
That's the thing. That's why I don't want to buy Goldfish now because I'm like, that slays. I'm on Team Lindsay, but the snack itself, I am intrigued.
The snack itself letting you do that. And Cheez-Its has continued to comment on all her posts, which is so funny.
This is how good marketing is done, too. Yeah. You gotta, like, let your influencers, like, be influencers and jump on shit like this. Like, Lindsay keeps reposting stories, too, of people being, like, influenced with the snack.
Yeah.
Like, people are gonna eat this, even if it's just for a moment. Like, everybody now knows what Cheez-It Snapped is. If you didn't know what it was before, everybody in the Bravo sphere now knows.
You know. Okay. Next, Captain Lee from Below Deck has a podcast. Did you see this?
Took me out. Yes.
I gotta talk about it. I just found out today. So he has a podcast, for those of you who don't know. And he has been very close with Carl in the past because Carl's brother died of an overdose. I believe one of Captain Lee's sons
Sons.
died of an
Yeah.
overdose. So Captain Lee reached out when it all happened and was a very big supportive
Mm-hmm.
person for Carl in his life. So they've been friends for many years. Well, when all this shit with Lindsay went down, Captain Lee invited Carl to be on the podcast. And now he's telling this story on like on a different episode. So like
Yeah.
this is after the fact. But he said he had invited Carl to be on the podcast. It was going to be really a softball interview of just like any question Carl approved. If he didn't want something answered, they would cut it. It was going to be like really easy. But he says after he's seen all the confessionals on Summer House, he feels like he needs to speak up about this and Carl's erratic behavior. So I guess the podcast, it had to be like a Wednesday that it comes out because they were doing promo for it on Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, they filmed it.
On like a Monday.
I don't think they filmed it on Monday,
Not
but they
that
filmed
Monday,
it. They
but
was
yeah.
supposed to
It was
release.
edited. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the weekend of BravoCon, like right before it's supposed to release.
Oh, I didn't realize it was BravoCon week.
It was that weekend. Carl calls Captain Lee, and Captain Lee says he went off about how Captain Lee was taking advantage of him, leaving him out to
Gross.
dry. Like, how could
I
he
can't
do this?
believe Carl would like say these things.
And like, if you know Captain Lee, he does not have a foot in the Bravo sphere. He's just chilling, driving boats. He likes that he's
Yeah.
famous and he's like the daddy of the seas. But like,
He's the least problematic captain too.
yeah, he's
And actually, I've never seen Captain Jason, but like people have a problem with what's the female captain?
Sandy. I think that might be a little bit because she's a woman, but she also gets involved in the drama a lot.
Correct. So like I can see how like, you know, if it was Captain Sandy, he had a relationship with, there's like a different dynamic with the audience. But like Captain Lee is like a grandpa to the audience.
He shows up to BravoCon, says hello, and leaves. Like he's the sweetest. Anyway,
and he's not like trying to jump on this like Carl Lindsay breakup train. It's just like, hey, I'm close with you. Do you want to tell your story? Like Lindsay was doing podcasts.
Yeah. So Captain Lee gave him this. Okay, so Carl's on the phone going off, Captain Lee's taking advantage of him, like whatever, leaving him out to dry, that they put like they weren't thinking about Carl. And so Captain Lee basically said like, fine, we won't air the podcast, like goodbye, and hung up. And Captain Lee's PR person that's also on the podcast was like, he put us in a really difficult position. Captain Lee goes, but he didn't care. He doesn't care about us. He didn't care about the position, which makes me think there is something happening behind these cameras of Carl.
1000%.
That like what the fuck? Right? I had a moment of like, what the fuck?
It's hard because I sit and I watch this reunion and I think like, wow, like this cast is a lot more just like their normal life is the show life. Like Paige said, like we live our life and cameras are here. We don't live it for the cameras. Like I think Vanderpump Rules lives separate lives. Yeah. Like they live a show life. All of them do. Not just one person, not just like Ariana or Katie. Like all of them live different lives. And I feel like Summer House is better about like, if it's not caught on camera, bringing in the context, if it wasn't caught on camera initially and just like making it a seamless life. But they all are reality stars at the end of the day. Like the main cast, you know, the people who start from the beginning, Paige who started in season 3, they've been doing this forever. So they do know how to like withhold or present themselves in different ways. So like they will all have aspects of their personality that may not be shown on camera. And like how different is that? And so like the stuff we're finding out about Carl is like, wow, there can be some moments.
I think
so what triggers that?
Yeah, like you said, has been like pretty true on this show. I think like someone who has been ridiculed for behavior and still done the same thing is Lindsay, right? She shows up every season and we're like, she's insane. And I do think Carl is using that a little to his advantage because he's not, I mean, we've seen him be insane on camera, but then this whole narrative was that Lindsay saying Carl went off on her and Carl's like, no, I didn't. I talked very calmly, but there's never fucking camera footage. So we as viewers don't know, but it's Captain really Lee saying that made me like rethink this reunion as being like, oh, Carl's not the person he's totally presenting, which is fine. Have an essence of like professionalism on camera. I would probably also clean myself up a little bit, but like if I yell, I'm probably going to yell off and on camera. It's just kind of who I am.
Well, I think also is his sobriety affords him more control, and anybody can be sober. Like all the cast is choosing to drink, so this isn't like, oh, poor them. But his sobriety does allow him more control over his actions, which is just happens when you're on substances. You end up being a little loosey-gooseier. And so, like, you have the Lindsay moment where she's questioning his sobriety. And, like, the alcohol's not to blame for it, but it's a factor that is involved in it.
Yeah.
And so he is able to, like, hold his temper more or, like, just not have substances affect his behavior, which is really good. Like, that's why he is a much better person and why he needs to be sober. There's probably a multitude of reasons, but that does like help him and like aid his like on camera behavior is that he is not under any substances. But I also wonder, it makes me think like what was said on that podcast that like Carl is like, I can't have that come out.
I know.
Because I don't think Captain Lee did anything to like take advantage of Carl or anything, but I'm like, what did Carl do that he now feels defensive of that podcast episode coming out? And I think Lee is like protective, even if they're not on good terms, to not release that and never say what was said
he never
or like
will.
do him dirty like that. But it makes me think what happened there.
I wouldn't even think Captain Lee would know what Carl was so like up in arms about because he said it was like the easiest interview in the world. Like he was like, it was a softball interview. So just that to take in mind because it made me rethink a few conversations here. But last item. Listen, I got this sent to me, a blind item, but I don't know if it's true, but this is what is being said. Okay. So this is the rumor. Okay. The rumor is, I'm just going to read it. Lindsay is pregnant, and when the producers of the show found out, they removed her for liability reasons. This is confirmed by 2 people at Page 6, as well as a very high-up reporter at People Mag. Story will be released soon when she is ready, but the reason others are upset, so it like explains the blind item, Dorinda possibly, is because another housewife was supposed to be on the show and they pulled her for being pregnant. So they found it unfair that Lindsay would get to participate in Summer House when pregnant. She's currently denying allegations because it makes her look bad to be doing podcasts berating her ex while being pregnant with her new boyfriend's child. But she is pregnant and her entire circle is very open about it.
That's interesting because she was on Not Skinny But Fat, or Not Fat.
Not skinny and not fat, or not fat but not skinny. Something like that. Because every time I see it, I go, I love that for myself.
In that interview, they addressed this blind item, and Lindsay was like, I am not pregnant, and no one on the cast is pregnant.
Oh, interesting.
So I haven't seen her so directly respond to it except for that interview. And I just don't think if she was pregnant, she would absolutely say, I'm not. And then, like, let's say she reveals it in 3 months.
And then we're like, what the fuck?
Also, she's not that dumb to, like, blatantly lie on.
No, she's in PR. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Also, I wouldn't want a summer with, like, Carl and not Lindsay.
Well,
because I want them to fight.
I know, but even if they were in the house, I don't want Lindsay pregnant and like Carl in the house and like them working that out. That's just a really weird dynamic.
I also don't think it makes her look bad that she's pregnant while talking about her ex because this is the show that's currently out. She has been off, like removed from the show since September when he like broke up with her. So like, yeah, she found a new boyfriend and now she's pregnant.
She's moved on.
That's fine. But we in real time are like experiencing this and she should cash in on us being interested in the show.
1,000%.
So good for her. If it is true, I'm happy for her timeline.
And she said like on, I'm not even going to say the podcast name again because
Not skinny but not fat.
That like she doesn't have time to waste. You know, she's in her later 30s. Like she is ready to keep it moving. Let's move on. He doesn't want to be in this relationship. She sat in her feelings for a while. She moved on and she started dating in January, which is like what, 4 months later? Like that's it's not like the Ariana claim of like 10 days later, which is still bogus, but like 4 months later is not that insane.
Women can just never do anything right.
We are ridiculed for no matter what we do.
For everything. Okay. Well, should we get into the reunion finally?
Yes, I'm excited because, like, despite obviously the chaos that reunions are,
so good. This is my new comfort reunion. Similar to season 10, Vanderpump Rules, this is
Mm.
the one I'll nap to.
I love their looks, love the vibe. Like, it
Oh
is
my God.
aesthetically pleasing to watch,
They're so
too.
good. It's 5:32 a.m. in New York City, and we're all showing up at the reunion. Today is gonna be a day. Okay, this is the first time Lindsay is seeing Carl since BravoCon, but she no longer sees him with any kind of emotion, just like a body in the room, which I wish that's how I saw my exes. That's badass. I went,
Oh, her strength. I don't have it.
the amount of times I gasped at this reunion, that was one of them. I went, oh my God.
They're just so funny to me. I love them so much.
So, Carl says he's been trying to do a lot of work in 8 months and clean up his side of the street, but he feels like they're both responsible for this. And then,
Which, okay, they are.
fine,
Like,
yeah,
I don't shame him for that.
yeah, okay, but like, what are we
And
trying to? Yeah, and
yeah.
you know, Lindsay thinks Carl told a lot of lies and was trying to plant seeds all season. And Gabby hopes that Carl's shit in his pants right now. And I hope not, because they're white, Gabby, but
Oh my
all
God.
the same. So Carl has been struggling with things that had come out but aren't true, or that aren't true. But he says he made the right decision and maybe she will realize it was for the best too.
Okay, she's not gonna like thank you and like
Yeah, thank
clap
you
because
so
like
much.
it is the best thing for both of you. Just keep it moving.
But at this
Carl.
point, it hasn't been a year. I'm still mad at you. You know, like
Yeah,
I'm always gonna hate you, whether it was right or wrong. Like, how
that's the
dare
thing.
you?
It's not like, oh, great job, Carl. Like, thanks
Yeah,
so much for saving my life after you like destroyed my life.
yeah. Also, like, not only did you end our engagement like 2 months before our wedding, but on top of that, you did it on TV. Like, I'll never forgive you.
Yeah, and even if neither of them released it or like someone next to them released it, it was in the news
Yeah,
within
it was
30
crazy.
minutes of it happening. Like, this
Yeah.
was not a fun moment where we're both like, hey, we came out
Thanks
stronger
so
on the other
much.
side.
Yeah. And then Ciara, Paige, and Amanda come with hair and makeup already done, which Amanda's hair I didn't realize is like in a bun of sorts, which I don't love.
I also thought it's so funny that they obviously got ready together and came together. Like, we
I
never see
support.
Kyle walk in. Whenever I saw Amanda
He walked
walking in,
in
I was like,
separately. Yeah.
where is Kyle?
No, he was separate. Okay, so the stage is very Italian summer vibes inspired by Paige's lemon dinner.
Mhm.
Andy's first taking selfies, and then we have, I love when we see the walk on because it means that there's
Yes.
some tension. So Carl's first, and he has a non-alc lover boy in hand in case he gets stressed. You know, he's got to get the
Oh
juice.
well, you got to promote it. You know, everything's an
Gotta get the
advertisement with
juice.
reality TV.
Yeah, he is ready to clear the air and move on. And Andy's like, well, there's a lot to talk about. So we'll see.
Here we go.
Andy lies to Danielle and tells her that he loves her hair.
Okay, I don't mind the dress. Like, I don't think the dress fits or is like tailored correctly for her, but the hair is so bad in my opinion.
It's terrible.
It's just not it. Like, she is a beautiful,
Terrible.
beautiful girl, and this is not it.
Don't worry, I already went on Twitter and saw the tweets. I have tweets about this.
People are commenting on her photo, and I'm like, all right, we don't need to go that far.
Danielle's hot. She just the hair was bad.
I know, but I think it's so mean to like post mean comments. Post it on Twitter and you can give your reaction. You do not need to go to somebody's page and put it on
that's
their page.
mean.
Too far.
I also love at this reunion how everyone like runs up to Andy and gives him a hug. That doesn't happen at all reunions. And then the Lindsay walk up. Damn, she got abs.
I love how she's like, they're painted on.
No, they're not.
She has them, but she probably defined them.
Yeah,
like
but that bitch is
she
going to Barry's.
Those babies.
Listen, I go to Barry's once a week and I die every time. She's running.
I don't really love talking about women's bodies, but Lindsay clearly revenge bodied hard in the off season. Wow. And I just like, I think it's so funny when you revenge body and then like being a reality star, especially on Bravo, like you get to show up to a reunion looking fucking incredible.
That's the thing, is she was hot before and now she's like, whoa, amazing.
She's hot no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just like this, it's the statement.
Yeah, which good for her. She looks tan. Her teeth are shiny. Her real teeth are shiny. And then, dare I say, she is upstaged by Ciara.
I was like, woman
Revenge Dress
scorned.
2.0. This. It goes like
Yes.
Lindsay, Ariana, Ciara, because
I
that was
know.
hot.
Also, Ciara walking out second, like last, gives
Yeah.
the most impactful moment. Like, I wish like they made Lindsay stay back so then she was the last one in because this is like
No,
her moment, her season. But
but
damn,
Ciara
Ciara looks
looked good.
good.
And West was like, ooh, okay.
I almost posted a clip, or I had saved that clip of our podcast when I was like, if Ciara and Wes are not together at the reunion, I'm gonna lose it. But once I saw that
No,
outfit, I was
she
like, they're
looked too
not
good. They're
together.
not
They're not
together. And
together.
I said on my TikTok that I made, I was like, she's wearing like revenge dress. But then Wes
Mhm.
was dressed really well that I was like, there's no way a woman didn't help him with this. You know what I mean?
But he has
Where I was like,
style. He has some, or and
yes
if
and
he's not,
no.
he has a lot of girl space friends too. So
That
maybe
would be
a
it.
girl helped.
I think I made the video before we saw his girlfriend show up. So I
Yeah.
get it. Okay. But Andy, he's like, I'm going to be straight by the end of the day. And Ciara says she's going to be gay.
Gabby
So
says it, but
who
yes,
says that? Gabby?
Gabby.
Oops.
Hmm.
Okay, Gabby says it. But either way,
I thought
yes to
that
both.
little banter back and forth was so
Yeah.
good. And this is why like the cast again is like so fun. Like
It's
this is a
so
tense
good.
moment, but
Yeah.
like the lighthearted banter, they can all just have a good reunion and like
Yeah.
make it a fun moment, even if it's not the most fun moment,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And then Wes turns to Amanda. He's like, this is only an hour, right? And she's like, yeah, definitely. We'll only be here an hour.
Oh god.
Okay, so first we do hellos like we always do. There weren't like a lot of exciting things happening except that Ciara and Madison from Southern Charm are on a billboard in Times Square. So
Is
it's
it still running? Like
no,
I'm ready
but
to
it's your
fly to New York and
it's
see
your two
this.
favorite exes, you know? Austin Kroll,
So
shit
good.
yourself.
What were they advertising together? Because this dynamic duo I'm in. Bring them to Winter
I
House.
don't
I'm ready to
know.
recast Winter House, by the way. Like I want everybody's opinions.
I forget what it was, but it's had something to do with clothes. Like they switched
Okay.
clothes in an advertisement, I remember.
Oh,
It,
love.
maybe it wasn't Gap, but it was some like a clothing brand.
Brand. Okay.
Yeah. Gabby looks gorgeous and it's Toro season. I don't know what that means, but good for her. Are we done yet with this? Andy and Wes bond over Missouri, which Meredith
Okay.
can
This
also
is the
join
thing
in.
Missourians do too. It's like we're both from Missouri.
Yeah, he's like, you rep in Missouri, and Wes is like, no, actually, and he's like, well, just being here, you rep Missouri.
That's the thing. Does Wes know that Andy is from St. Louis? Like he
I
has
don't.
to.
It's
Because I'm
Wes's
like,
first year. Plus, Wes is from Missouri, whereas Andy is like St. Louis. So I think it didn't. Maybe it hasn't
yeah,
registered.
but Columbia and St. Louis are like an hour and a half away from each other. So close. For Midwest folks, that's close.
Maybe it hasn't registered. You know, if someone's like, I'm from Chicago, and then someone's like, I'm from Illinois, I'd be like, you're not from where I'm from, you know?
Yeah, but like if it was the reverse, yeah. But Andy was like, "Hey, Missouri, we got this."
That's true. Yeah.
Like, come on, Wes. This
He
is this
brings
was
out
already
Tom.
like like an X on the board for me. I was like, come on.
Bring out Tom Sandoval. You got the trifecta, you know?
Okay. That's the man I wouldn't say this to. Like, Andy has never said this to Tom Sandoval. Missouri represent.
I wish Chicago represent Jesse. Chicago suburbs. Okay, Kyle, we're gonna cut his mullet at the reunion. Thank God. Hopefully next episode.
Okay. Also, just sidebar, Mullet Gate with Sheena's birthday party is so funny because Kyle had the mullet at her birthday party video. And so the birthday party clearly happened a week prior or like a few days prior to this recording.
Oh, that's
so the mullet was the reason like people realized and connected it all because he still had it.
I love that. Also, did you see the promo they did for the reunion? Bravo did. It was very funny. It was just a TikTok. It was a very long TikTok, but it was the scene from Salt Lake City where the women gather and Heather's going to tell them.
Yes,
like,
and Wes and Kyle had the scarves on.
Yeah, and it's Kyle's mullet instead of Monica. And they're like, oh, no. It's good. Everyone go watch it. Anyway, Amanda hates the mullet. Andy asked if Lindsay got fashion advice from Ariana. She says, no, actually. And I was like, that's crazy because the two of you, You were trying to have your own scandal, girly. We
You
saw
just
it.
know. You
Yeah.
just know.
Carl has on his white pants. And then Andy says, on behalf of America, he is so happy they're not getting married. And Lindsay says ditto. And Carl says it was the right decision. And the whole class goes, yes, we are America too. Yeah.
The "We Are America
We are
Too"
America.
comment was so good. Like, no, we all felt it for a while.
I like wish someone had recorded, or I had even recorded my reactions to this, because I literally went, yes.
There were so many times I haven't talked to my TV in a while, and I was talking to my TV
out loud. Yeah.
I just, can you imagine your friends, by the way, breaking up, and you're like, yeah, the entire summer we were like, we didn't want this to happen.
Yeah, because I'm that friend. If I fucking hate your boyfriend, I'm like, break up with him. And then when
But you would tell them, but you can't really say like, oh, don't go through with the wedding 2 months out.
Sometimes you have, if we're getting married already, I'm like, I guess this is it.
You do the nuanced Paige thing where you're like, hey, I got to give you this moment one time. How you feeling?
Yeah, but
when they say no, like you can't do anything else.
Yeah,
or when they say like, yes, I want to move forward with this.
I fucking knew it. Anyway, so they just watched the finale for the first time. Andy's like, how was it reliving it? And Lindsay's like, well, I actually lived it, so it felt the same, I guess. And Carl agrees. He says it was interesting to watch it back from a different lens.
I mean, it is. Like, you kind of forget what you said. You don't fully listen.
He believes that conversation showed their issues as a couple, but it was hard to rewatch. And I was like, yeah, it was
a lot of things, but Carl, I don't think it is what you think it is. I don't think it's what Lindsay thinks it is. It's exactly what we're watching.
It's worse. Yeah.
You guys both suck. I told Alicia this right before we recorded. Like, I hate both of them. I am on team none of them.
I can't believe.
I can't like pick a side is what I'm saying, because they both suck, and I'm so mad at all of this in a way.
I am too. In a way, I'm also mad, but I'm sticking to my girls. So if you said gun to my head, pick a team, it's Lindsay, baby. I
can't even converse with people who are just like all Carl did something wrong or all Lindsay did
no.
wrong.
There was clearly issues, but at the end of the day, I am the Paige where I'm like, he did you a favor.
Yes,
bitch. Yeah, fuck him.
You're supporting Lindsay and hating both of them.
Yeah, that's it for sure. So was it Carl's intention to break things off in that final conversation? Carl says nope, and I went, what did you think was gonna?
I truly don't think he knew anything what he was doing at all ever.
I was like, sir, but he says he just wanted to be on the same page and talk to his fiance about the future, and had hoped things would go differently. And Gabby is like, Lindsay also didn't think it was going to be a breakup conversation. Yeah. And then we get more, which we already kind of knew, like the background story, but we get more into it. So like Tuesday, because this was filmed on a Wednesday. The finale was filmed on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Tuesday night, Lindsay got a text from production with Carl that said that they're filming. And Gabby was the one that says like, oh, that makes sense because like you guys ended on a bad note.
Yes, exactly what we talked about last week.
The next episode was going to be your wedding. So we needed some like closure there. And so, so Lindsay went into that conversation, and that is why because I also thought it was weird she started it, but that's why she started it.
Well, she was so prepared. Well, she shouldn't, I don't think she was prepared to start it, but she was prepared to talk.
Yeah, but even like how it was portrayed on the finale was like Carl said, we need to talk. And Lindsay was like, okay, I'll start, which was weird, but this makes sense. Lindsay's like, oh, I know we're going into this conversation. We have to talk about our relationship for production. And so she started it and apologized. And then Carl went in the conversation and thought differently. Like Lindsay was ready to brush it under the rug. Carl was ready to air it all out. And then they broke up.
Lindsay's like, oh, we're building a bridge from our fight to us getting married.
Yeah, we'll continue to build together.
Even if they weren't actually going to resolve things, we need to like pretend to resolve things on camera. And then we will work it out from now until our wedding. Yeah. But we need this, and we need, a makeup.
Lindsay's here to perform.
Correct. Like, let's just move past this.
Who knows how
Carl came in exactly how he came in the entire season, hating everything, but not really knowing what he wanted to say. And then I think he finally figured it out, and it just unraveled and then they broke up. And he was like, that works for me.
Yeah, there was no thought in his mind. He just started
Like,
talking.
I don't think he came in to say, I don't want to get married. I think he came in, it unraveled, and now he's trying to use it like, oh, I came in and I didn't know what I wanted, as if like that's like something to like hold in the argument of this and why he's not a bad guy. And it's like, no. That's not a reason you're good. You just had no idea what was going on.
Just say you meant to end it and you ended it.
It's not fine. A point for you, sir.
No, it's all a mess. So Lindsay also said that Wednesday morning she walked into Carl's room, which I thought she hadn't talked to him, but also I don't remember.
Interesting, yeah, that they did talk for a little bit.
But she asked if he knew why they wanted to film, and then for 45 minutes straight, Carl popped off on her and was screaming, which, now that we know about Captain Lee, probably. Yeah.
But I believe she is yelling back, too.
Yeah, but then Carl
like she's
interrupts.
Not sitting there calmly talking.
No. But Carl interrupts, which I hate. I hate that this man can never just shut the fuck up. But he says that he wasn't screaming and that Lindsay can't treat people this way and she needs to own her behavior. And here's the thing with that comment. They're trying to do it like Sandoval, right? Where we see his problematic behavior and the whole cast goes, own it, take accountability.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't see this behavior. They always talk about behavior off camera, how Lindsay was screaming at them and they got in a big fight and like Carl's yelling in a cab.
And they're trying to shove all responsibility onto one party rather than just being like, yes, I was yelling, but you were too. Like, we were fighting.
But like then they do the whole, you need to own up to your actions. And that means nothing to us because we don't know your actions.
Yeah, it's like, they're not going to be like, hey, you know what? You're so right. I was screaming at you and I was calling you a bitch and I was da-da-da-da-da. I'm listing all the like things that they did wrong. Neither is going to do it.
No.
So either like describe the situation from like a bird's eye where you do own yours and you tell me what he did and you did or what she did and you did. Like somebody's got to just be like, yeah, we were both yelling at each other.
Yeah, but if you
That's the ownership I want.
If you do this whole, which like Lindsay obviously doesn't take ownership either, but she's the one that starts the whole like, you were screaming at me. And then Carl goes, no, I wasn't. You were screaming and you need to own that. And I'm like, if you're trying to get us against the other one, it's just not.
It's not, neither of them is working. This is why I hate both of them.
It's not going to happen because
it's not hitting for me.
I just think Carl's always on the defense and he presents it wrong, which is why I think I hate his arguments more.
But I think she's doing that too. Well, like,
no, I think she went on the offense first, and in Carl's defense, he was like, "You own your shit." And then,
but my problem with Lindsay is because she is notoriously like not self-aware. It comes off to me as like, "Oh, he's the only problem in this," and I'm like, "Linz, babe, like I know you have done work, and we have seen you not get so activated, but you cannot tell me you did not get a little activated."
No, I'm sure she did. From what I could tell, when they were arguing and yelling at each other, because
which time? In the time we didn't see, or while we're yelling?
This time, it sounded like, again, I think it's just the way of the argument, and we've talked about like there's an art to it, and I think Lindsay with PR has that art. Where like Carl kept saying like, I didn't scream, you screamed, and Lindsay was like, you were screaming. She wasn't saying she didn't, so I think she's just smarter in the art of warfare. But her leaving it out
comes off to me like she's trying to say she's not
different
doing
for me. I'm like, fight your way, bitch. Fight it off.
She does do better than him. You're right. Because she never explicitly says like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. But I just wish she was like, we were both yelling at each other.
Oh, that's not good. They hate each other. If the person I hated, even if I was yelling, I'd be like, no, I fucking didn't. So I get it. I think I would also just loudly, be like,
I wasn't yelling.
Yeah. That wasn't yelling. You want to see yelling? I could yell. That would be me. Like a mom where I'm like, I'm not even started.
You want to try me?
Try again. So basically they're yelling at each other. And then Carl yelled that Lindsay yelled about how Carl was yelling that he was this close to canceling the wedding.
Which... that is kind of a little bit damning evidence going into their conversation. He is already, because he said it at the house in the last episode that he was like having doubts and like if they don't fix it, like he doesn't want to get married. And then he tells you a second time that he like is close to calling off. The blindsided thing for me doesn't hit as hard as I
Yeah.
thought when she initially said it on like Nick Viall's podcast 6 months ago.
She was blind and from the
Blindsided by the
side.
conversation that happened.
Yeah, how it went, I think. She was blindsided of how it went.
Yep.
The problem, she was not blind.
She's not blindsided with the wedding being called off. She's
Yeah.
blindsided by the structure of the conversation that was filmed.
Yeah, so as they're screaming at each other, Andy's like, can you kill me now? Because he's in the middle.
And
then
he's dealing with so many people who hate each other. I've realized, like, it's a good thing BravoCon isn't happening this fall because Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa and Melissa. You got Sandoval, like Ariana, Katie, like that debauchery happening on that show. Like, there was just a lot of hatred where Andy is sitting between two people screaming like no other.
Andy's canceling his network. He's selling the rights to Paige at this point. He doesn't need Bravo. So Carl says Lindsay is happy now, so why is she arguing? She's been dating someone since January while he's been paying half the rent. And she goes,
Carl.
But you signed the lease.
True.
And then he says, I've been courteous and I paid for the wedding. And Lindsay says, you paid for the cancellation fees because you canceled.
Yes. She said on Not Skinny, but...
not fat, but not skinny.
Why can't I get that down? That, like, he decided to cancel this wedding. And so they mutually paid their deposits that they lost mutually. He paid all the cancellation fees. And she was like, I am not going to help out canceling this wedding. And I'm like, no. I believe in that. And,
okay, so she's happy now dating someone fine. We're at the reunion. We have to argue, sir.
Well, it like brings up the Ariana stuff. Like, why, just because she has someone new in her life, can she not be pissed off about this unrelated situation?
Like, we're talking about it. You're asking me about it.
This romantic partner doesn't put a Band-Aid and heal everything.
I still hate you. That's the point. I still hate you.
I hate the energy of like, well, if you're so in love, you can't be like hate your old
I
will hate you till my dying days.
Bitch, there are people from preschool I still fucking hate, okay? I hate everyone.
Yes.
Anyway, so Lindsay goes, what? Do you want a pat on the back for like the cancellation fees?
I believe in that energy. I'm on her side on that argument.
Well, he says, maybe a high five. And I went, that's worse than the squeeze. It's worse than squeeze me.
That was so funny. A high five? You have to be fucking. I wish you would have gotten up and high fived him.
Yeah, she walked right over and went, give it to me.
And then gone, psych.
The most childish thing.
Okay, you know what I'm reassessing. I am on an argument by argument basis on whose team
Lindsay
I'm on because I
one.
hate them both. Lindsay crushed this one.
So we also now get to talk after that presentation, talk about the bromances in the summer house. Wes and Jesse, super cute bromance. Carl and Kyle, cringe, no, I guess just to me, but watching like the montage of like Jesse and Wes hugging each other and like doing dumb shit, and then it's Kyle and Carl in like a car going ooh, and then roofing or barking or whatever they were doing. I was like, different vibes.
I think they're a little jealous. They've never gotten a bromance storyline because they're always fighting with women. So that is their main story arc.
They're significant others mostly. But
that ends up being their main story arc. And West had like Ciara, but their main story arc was like
this was the love of his life. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Carl complained about not having enough male energy. We bring the male energy.
Yep.
These two men killed it, I will say. For as like shitty of a person as Wes can be later on in this episode or whatever.
Yeah.
Or how shitty he handled the situation. We can get into it. But Jesse and Wes was exactly what we needed. I dare say they are kind of, as far as we saw on the episode, not the reunion, the season, not really problematic. They're not arguing with women. They're just like chilling.
I don't think they are problematic, I'm going to be honest, at all. I think they are normal people who do normal shitty things.
Yes.
And because like there isn't that much like problematic behavior on Summer House, it looks more extreme in comparison. Obviously like Carl's doing shitty things.
I think like, also though, we're going to hate, Ciara's going to hate you.
Yeah. But like this is normal level hating stuff. This is just like, not like
But they're
Look
not.
at Vanderpump Rules. Like,
That's
a
problematic.
lot.
But they're not fighting with their significant others and calling them fucking bitches and saying, I'm
No.
going to call off the wedding. They're
Exactly.
basically just like trying to fuck each other
Being
at this
dudes
point.
in this city. Like,
Yeah, they're just dudes.
do I think, like, and we'll get in this way more, Wes went about shit the wrong way? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I like, he does not need to be canceled over this, but I'm ready for his like, high horse to be knocked down. We literally lifted this man up on a pedestal compared to Jesse Solomon.
Fall of grace.
And then, like, Jesse Solomon stayed consistent and rose a little bit, and Wes just, like, knocked down. And I actually love it, because, like, you and I love to knock men down a peg or two. So, like, we needed this.
Well, they talk about, so Wes was an immediate love to the hearts of the viewers and the house. And Jesse was more slow burn. And I think, I love a slow burn. I think I was infatuated by Wes, but I am in love with Jesse Solomon.
Yes, I agree. I think the funny guy gets you and I, like, right off the bat, draws us in so quickly.
Right off the bat. But we've said we could be friends with Wes. Like, he could be our bro.
Yeah.
But I would date the hell out of Jesse Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. He's funny in his own way. He's more of, like, I think also like a witty, like, goofball, opposed to Wes, who's like sharp on the mark and, like, can think of things off the dome.
Yes.
Jesse's more of, like, a goofy, like, good for you. And you're like, that's funny if we weren't in this awkward conversation, you know?
It's, like, subtly funny. So then I think you can build more inside jokes with Jesse Solomon, and it gets funnier because of, like, context or little bits over time. Whereas, like, West is the performer.
That's why he gets us, because we are performers. We are performers. So, Jesse says that West is, like, effortlessly cool, and he's just, like, you know, Jesse Solomon.
He really is.
And Jesse had a rough start. He showed up a weekend late, like, immediately.
One day
late, but no one wants to get to know him. They're like, we just got to start drinking. Then he was, like, drunk, hitting on Paige. Everyone gets mad at him for that. Like, he's just trying, and he didn't know what to expect. But he says this was really, like, a real experience for him.
I actually really appreciated him talking about he didn't know if this was real or fake.
Yeah.
I feel like this vouched that, like, Summer House is really real. With the 24/7 surveillance, it's a lot harder to hide things. You can't, like, wait for something and, like, really plan it out.
Yeah, and I think the most fake thing about it is the producers just cutting certain things that don't fit into the storyline.
Which is just editing fake, not, like, the cast members coming on and being fake.
The cast members, they forget 90% of the time, I'm sure, that there's a camera.
This season, we had a lot of the, like, surveillance footage, too, which I really enjoyed.
Because I think you're more natural than, like, the camera being there. And we always talk about, like, remember that conversation with Carl, Kyle, and Amanda about, like, Lindsay? And the cameraman is just, like,
there, and the producer's, like, in the corner. I love them, like, actually showing the producer then with the, like, surveillance footage. Like, we also can, like, break the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall,
break it a little bit.
We have the footage of the producer literally sitting in the room.
Yeah, Jesse just broke it here a little bit. He's like, I don't know if it was real or fake. So, Ciara doesn't warm up to new people immediately, but something was different about Wes, and she says, like, she loves a funny guy, and Wes is a funny guy, and she got. Which I also fell for Austin Kroll. I got too.
I know, and this made me nervous because I'm like, you're right. Like, and this isn't a blanket statement about funny guys, but, like, I think the funny guy can mask the douchebaggery a lot more where you don't notice it. Like, Jesse walked in and was like, oh, I'm kind of a douchebag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whereas, like,
what you're going to get.
Like, with West, it was just, like, under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, you didn't expect it, and then
it was camouflaged by the funny.
The performer in him. But then Wes and Jesse became fast BFFs. Jesse says Wes didn't want him at first, but Jesse just forced himself into Wes's
I love
life. And Jesse really got a lot of shit that first weekend. I guess they went to a party, which we saw, like, surveillance footage. They went to a party, and he split up from the group, and the group was mad. That he brought them to a party and then didn't hang out with them.
Okay, it being his party, or, like, that he brought them to, makes a little sense. Like, you just show up to these strangers, and then, like, the one guy who, like, knows people here darts off. That's stressful. But still, it's a fucking party. I'm notorious for just, like, ditching and like finding random people to talk to.
Also, the fact that they went home and Jesse's like, "Are you guys mad at me?" And they're all like, "Yeah." And they like lectured him. I was like, "Oh my god."
Dude, y'all being pissed and then being like, "I'm going to bed, I'm over it." And Gabby being like, "She will not
She's
be
not
over it."
over it.
No.
I was like, "Get over it, bitch."
Yeah, it's not that deep. It is not that deep.
You don't know this guy either. You would forget him.
And if it was reversed where the like people have been on the show for 8 years, did this to somebody new, that would be different.
That's
but
bullshit,
you all know each other. You were at this party and you know 7 other people here.
Literally,
you're fine.
just give Jesse the address to the house that he needs to sleep at and leave. Who cares?
Not like chill out. It's the first
and
weekend
Jesse
too.
was so like, "I'm sorry that I did that, you guys." I was
a sweet
like,
Midwestern boy.
I fell in love. Okay.
I fell more in love with knowing this situation.
Are Wes and Jesse the new Carl and Kyle? And everyone's like literally copy and paste. Carl agrees that there are some physical similarities, but personality-wise, they're very different. And I was like, yeah, there's a superior pairing to the other pair. And Kyle's like,
we picked them over you two.
Yeah, every time. And Kyle's like, I didn't think about it until the viewers were like, oh, this is their replacements. But they need to give at least 8 years of drama to get where we are going. And I was like, get out.
Kyle's high horse about like this show and being like seniority because he's like been on it forever and he started it and he gets the primary. I hate that version of Kyle.
I know. I get it in the sense that he did build the whole thing of like, this is how much we're going to get paid and it's going to be a constant thing. Remember how we built it like the first years get the most and then you build every year and it's a constant thing. And he has been on it a long time. But like that doesn't mean we love watching you on.
Yeah. Like you're not, this show can and probably will live on after you.
Yeah, when you go to New Jersey and we forget about you.
When you move to New Jersey, you'll be like Andrea and you'll pop in, you know, for a weekend.
But we won't be as excited as our Italian stallion.
No. But you will probably reference how you started this show.
Yeah. So
close the yearbook.
He's giving that whole, I basically built this family, the Kim Kardashian. That's Kyle. So Jesse usually does summer houses with all guys. This year it was girls. He says he loves that the girls were spilling the tea because Jesse Solomon loves some gossip. And Ciara says he's the best to gossip with because he's always in it.
Guys who gossip, I love. Winning. Jesse is just like ticking up in my mind during this reunion.
I'm about to take him home for the holidays. Like I'm so excited for him. I love him.
Well, hey, listen. Maybe he'll be here. We'll have to look at the Hanukkah schedule. Maybe he'll be in town. That's when you come in. Screw Christmas. We're ready to celebrate Hanukkah. We're ready for
Hanukkah. Okay, Carl and Kyle last summer, they were in a very bad place. This year, they're in a better place. After the reunion, they got into a better place because they like aired out their issues and hugged. There was a lot of that last reunion. Kyle says a lot of people question Carl's relationship, especially when Carl like went off on Lindsay last season a lot of people question Kyle and Carl's relationship, especially when Kyle went off on Lindsay. So that's why Kyle didn't really give his opinion on stuff this year because it was a little awkward. And Kyle also didn't need to be another person voicing his opinion, so he kind of stayed quiet. He was silenced.
Didn't need one more.
Yeah, silenced. And so Kyle was asked to be a flower boy.
Oh my God.
And so we bring this up. This is crazy.
This argument is stupid.
This is crazy. So Kyle knew he wasn't going to be in like a super important role in the wedding, right? Especially after he yelled at Lindsay.
Yeah, it makes a lot of valid sense.
He thought he'd be like a groomsman of some sort.
That is, okay. I was like, wait a minute. You said you didn't think you'd be in an important role. He wouldn't, and then you're like, groomsman.
Officiate. Yeah, he wouldn't. Or best man. He wouldn't do
I was like, okay, I don't feel like that's a less, like that much of a small role.
Yeah.
After yelling at the bride.
So then they're like, okay, but you got flower boy. And they do tell us it was adults only resort. So someone had to do it.
Nobody had to do it. No. Nobody had to do it. It makes sense that the reality TV, well, like Andrea and like Luke, the reality TV people are the one like throwing the petals down.
Yeah. So Lindsay says the flower boy thing was between her and Carl, but she had no say in like who the groomsmen were going to be because
Yeah.
they had agreed there were 9 bridesmaids, 9 groomsmen, which is a lot, by the way.
Oh my
But
God. Especially like being in your 30s, like later 30s, getting married. I feel like the older I get, the less I'm like,
the
this
less
stuff's
friends I have, yeah,
stupid. Well, like, come on. Like, I have important friends in all aspects of my life. Like, I just feel like you're tearing off your friends and like listing who's most important to you, and that's stupid.
it doesn't matter. So, Carl has a lot of best friends for some reason, and so all the groomsmen were taken by them. And
Mm-hmm.
so Lindsay was the one that brought up, like, well, what about Kyle, Luke, and Andrea? Like, they are very close to both of us. We need to have them in the wedding. And that's how they landed on like this groomsman thing because Lindsay also said, okay, what
The
if one
flower
of
boy thing.
or the flower boy thing. And Lindsay also said, what if on like one of your groomsmen can't make it or something happens? Who's your backup? And Carl said Andrea. It wasn't even Kyle. Kyle was
Which is like,
Grace
it
Eaton.
shows that it's like, it is Carl's responsibility. It's Carl's
Yes.
responses. Like, I think there's a layer of the like dynamic that Carl and Lindsay had where like Carl is scared of Lindsay. So like Carl's sitting there scared to say I want Carl in the
Kyle
wedding
in the wedding.
party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kyle in
I
the
know it gets
wedding
crazy.
party. But like that's not really like 100% Lindsay's fault. Like yes, you both are fostering this dynamic and that's on both of your parts, but at some point if it is important to you, you will try to make it happen.
I agree. So Lindsay says like it was also a lie because Carl in the confessional blamed it on Lindsay that Lindsay
Yeah,
didn't
I don't
want
like that.
Kyle to be a groomsman. Carl is panicking. He's not saying a fucking word.
Nope.
And then Carl says like there was this spreadsheet that they listed the groomsmen and he had 11 groomsmen and he needed 9. So
Yeah.
then Lindsay thought of the flower boy, which I was like, sir,
Which
it doesn't matter.
But
It
you're
doesn't
presenting
matter
it
though.
as if, like, he's presenting it out of context. You guys had
Yes.
lists. Kyle was on the list. That's great information to find out.
Great.
But when you have 2 more than her, somebody's got to be cut, and you don't fight for your boy, that's on you. When you
Yeah.
never talk about, like, Lindsay never talks about who is going to be in his like groomsmen, that's not on Lindsay. Lindsay then pitching a solution to make sure Kyle's in the wedding. Like I actually give her way more credit now than like how he portrayed it.
Well, they were all the reunion kept also being like it was a Lindsay's idea to do Flower Boy, and it's like
Correct,
yeah,
but like
if we didn't do Flower Boy, you
you
wouldn't
weren't in it
have him in the
at all.
wedding at all. So
Yeah.
so whatever.
Like that's not enough to Lindsay. Like Lindsay, it's not like a demotion. Like
No.
they're pitching as if Lindsay demoted him.
She's saying let's include them. Let's
Yes,
include
when it's actually
them.
a promotion from what Carl was doing.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like, it was Lindsay's idea to do Flower Boy, but I said sure, okay. And Andy was like, that is a leap from what you originally said, Carl.
Yeah.
And Carl goes like, personally, I felt like Lindsay didn't want Kyle in the thing. And I'm like, oh, so Carl just like made it up. He's like, I feel this way, so I'm gonna do it. And Lindsay's like, all of our conversations were specifically numbers. I didn't care who it was.
Mhm.
So-
Which is huge. Like I get that there's a dynamic of you're scared of her, but like
But
at the end of the day, grow the fuck up. You're 39 years old.
Grow up. If this is your best friend, say he's going to be in the wedding. Don't go into confessional and say like Lindsay didn't want Kyle in the wedding. And
That's
then
it.
when you're called out, be like, well, she didn't say it, but I had a feeling. Fuck you. Get out.
If you're gonna say like, okay, I don't think Lindsay would have wanted you in the wedding, that's a fine
That's
statement
fine.
to make. But then don't blame it all on her. Be like, I'm sorry, like I didn't want to risk it with my fiance. I didn't want to have the argument with my fiance
Yeah,
over this.
say that
That's
then.
fine.
Don't lie. So then Kyle says he's a little hurt, but he got cut, you know? It happened.
And Amanda and Kyle will say, like, even if Lindsay said, I don't want him in the wedding, we understand.
That's
it
what
makes
Amanda
a lot
said.
of sense.
She goes, yeah, he shouldn't have probably been in your wedding. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so was Carl afraid of Lindsay? Everyone except Carl and Andy raised their hand.
The way he doesn't raise his hand until he literally scans the entire thing and is like, oh, okay, I can say it now.
Andy, fine, because he's supposed to be a moderator.
Weird. Yeah. If like 3 people raise his hand, Andy needs to be impartial, but when everybody raises his hand, Andy can be like, yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So Carl, looks all the way around. Jesse says he thinks Carl was more afraid of Lindsay's reaction.
I agree.
And Lindsay goes, I think Carl's afraid of having tough conversations. I I agree with all of it.
Yeah.
And then Carl says he's actually not afraid of tough conversation. He's just a
Carl,
people
shut
pleaser
up.
and he struggles to talk to Lindsay without hurting her.
Oh, so you are afraid to have conversations. Okay.
Well, he's afraid to say, like, let's figure this out. But the minute it gets hard, he goes, I'm this close to canceling the wedding. And that might have hurt her, but he doesn't care in that
Carl
aspect.
would do better if he talked less during this reunion.
Truly just a mute.
He is actually digging his grave. He is giving Lindsay the, like, facts that actually prove her point.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
It's not great. It's not great.
He was scared, though, because he has a lot of respect for Lindsay and their communication styles aren't the same. So he was fearful of her. And I went, there you go. You are very scared of her, not because you have respect for her, because your communication styles suck together and you're scared of her. Yeah, there you go. But Andy does say, like, Lindsay, you're not a fun person to argue with. And Lindsay goes, no one is. But Paige goes, I am.
So funny. She is. Funny. I would say she is like an entertaining person to watch argue with people.
Paige won this reunion for me. She was so good.
She chimes in at the right moment. Yes. She doesn't really take hard, like, stances.
She's opposite of Carl. She knows when to speak, when to bring things up, how to speak,
That's
how
a good
to end
point.
it. Yeah.
Opposite of Carl.
Why did it take Carl a long time to open up to Kyle about things? Couples, you try and protect your relationship as much as possible. I understand that. In the past, Carl says he shared with Kyle and then things have gotten out. So he was trying to not have the whole house know about it.
Very valid.
He goes, it might not have been Kyle, but people found out. And I go, who would it have been?
It was Kyle. Never forget the finger bang. Yeah. The finger bang comment literally went around the house in 5 seconds.
The finger bang. So, yeah. And once you say something out loud, it becomes real. So then how are Kyle and Lindsay now? Lindsay says decent, fine. Mm-hmm. And Kyle says, like, they've always been able to bounce back as brother and sister, which is what we've said. They're more alike than different, truly.
Yeah.
But Kyle says his biggest challenge after the breakup is honesty versus dishonesty and what transpired and how Lindsay festered nasty rumors about Carl.
Like, what?
Lindsay goes, what the fuck? And Kyle goes, about paparazzi outside the apartment. And Lindsay goes, okay, so basically there's paparazzi outside their apartment and caught Carl walking in and out. And Lindsay's like, I was trapped inside for 2 weeks. Why would I have called the paparazzi? And also, it has been proven that Lindsay didn't call the paparazzi on Paige and Craig.
Oh.
So they keep blaming her of, like, you've called paparazzi before. And she's like, what? No,
that she went to the blogs. Yeah.
She's a blogger. But yeah. So Lindsay says, like, why would I call them to be trapped inside on my own relationship falling apart?
Also, I don't think the paparazzi needed to be called. The whole world knew about your breakup. And, like, it's New York. You can just sit outside and wait for someone. Or, like, maybe want somebody in your camps did. But that's not, like, Lindsay's fault. If, like, one of her friends is like, fuck him, I'm like, let's roast him.
Yeah, it's also really easy to figure out, like, where people live when you show, like, your apartment. So, like, for example, Paige has actually tagged her old apartment before, so I was able to find out exactly what building she lived in. There's also this guy on TikTok that is so fucking creepy, but this one influencer does, like, she does, like, videos when she travels in her hotel room, and I really like her. But then this guy goes, okay, based off, like, the hotel room decor, this is where you are, this is where you're staying, this is your exact hotel, and this is the room I think you're in. So it's really not that hard. That's creepy. God. Don't do that. But, like,
I hope people like that post delayed, so, like, they're not physically sitting in that room.
She didn't, and now she only posts delayed because she's so scared. Yeah,
the internet is a wild place, but yes, we have all this information at our disposal. Unfortunately,
Carl, I can figure out where you live in 2 seconds. Are you kidding? I just Google it.
Alicia's about to be there in an hour.
I'll be there. Yeah. So, okay, back to Kyle and Carl. Carl's back at Loverboy, not full time. Kyle doesn't know if Carl would be back at Loverboy if he was still with Lindsay. And Lindsay's like, that's bullshit because I guess at one point they were playing tennis or pickleball or something.
I bet they did a scene and it never made air.
Kyle told Lindsay, like, I'm going to try and hire Carl back. And Lindsay said, that's great because I want him to have a job.
I don't believe Lindsay would ever be like, no, you cannot go back and work for this company. No. I think she's cautious.
I think she would tell Carl, you really need to think about it. And all the things that happened last time, you need to bring up to Kyle.
You need to use what went wrong and, like, make sure it goes differently.
Yeah, of course. Kyle says he gets it, but Lindsay was brutal. And Lindsay's like, I thanked you for offering him a job. These men have no clue what's happening. I'm
I
convinced.
think no, this is a situation where I'm like, no matter what Lindsay says or does, people read it so wrong. Like she is trying to change how she is reacting things, but people are unwilling to change their perception of her. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kyle's like, you've been a pain in my butt in the past.
Which I hope maybe that's something they discuss on their own, and like Kyle tries to work on that too. And like Lindsay's like, listen, I've done a lot of work. I like would hope that you could start to change the narrative
But
you
recognize
have
it.
of me
Yeah.
in your head. Yeah.
So let's talk about Carl's career. Lindsay doesn't care what the fuck Carl would do with his life as long
do
as
fucking something.
as long as it's fucking something and it's something he wants to do.
Mhm.
So then Andy asks if Carl regrets leaving Loverboy or was that a Lindsay decision? And Carl says,
Oh
like,
my
no. Yeah,
I'm
these
glad he
questions are
defends
bullshit.
this.
Yeah.
I know. This one's stupid. Like, Andy, come on, do your research. That fell apart last season, like the season prior.
That's the thing
and
is we
all
saw
knew
it fall apart. Yeah. So
the last reunion you were sitting at, Andy, we all knew this fell apart.
yeah, so Carl even says like that was his decision to leave and he vented to Lindsay and she listened like a good partner and had his back and he came to that decision on his own and he probably wouldn't be at fucking Loverboy if he hadn't quit, honestly. So
That's true. He probably would
Great.
not be friends with Carl anymore, or Kyle and Carl would not be friends. Like
Oh,
that
but-
would have really self-imploded.
thank God they are friends because if Carl ever gets married in the future, Kyle's definitely 1,000% a groomsman.
Well, he has to say that. He's literally blamed it on Lindsay the entire time. So if he doesn't put him in the groomsmen, then he can't blame it on Lindsay anymore.
Oh God. Okay, can we finally change to the summer of the girls?
Woo, woo, woo,
So-
woo. The summer of Barbie, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift actually showed up on TV.
Thank God. And so what happened to the girls are like, we just grew up and didn't want to fight anymore. They probably saw Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Barbie and went, we're done.
Let's do it too.
We're done.
We're in.
So Danielle gets asked the wildest question. She gets asked about if Lindsay only rekindled her friendship with Danielle because her engagement was falling apart.
That's so mean to ask Danielle. Like, ask Lindsay that maybe, but like,
Everyone was like, oh my God.
hey, do you think your friend is only friend with you because her life sucked and so like you were at the bottom of the barrel
Well,
and so she was there too?
Danielle goes, number one, no, because they rekindled at last year's reunion.
Yep.
And two, she goes, Lindsay didn't believe her relationship was falling apart.
Yeah.
She was friends with me.
I just no. We
That
didn't
was
need that
crazy.
question.
Stop pitting the women against each other.
Listen,
Please.
when women actually fight for valid reasons, we
Fine.
can discuss it, but we
This
didn't
was
need to make
crazy.
something out of nothing.
Yeah. So Kyle thinks everyone made good effort for the women to get along. And like Carl said, Lindsay got along with everyone but Carl. And I'm like, ugh. Okay. So Lindsay
So
says,
why are we trying to take Lindsay being nice to people as a dig at Carl?
we can't stop. So
No.
Lindsay says she's happy she had the girls this summer because they were a strong support system for everything that was going on. And then Lindsay also, as we saw, was posting some pics with the girls, a lot more than she normally does in the summer. But she posted this one a few weeks like after her and Carl broke up. And it was just like a dinner of all the girls catching up. And it was captioned "Girls Rule, Boys Drool," and the internet lit up and was like, everyone in this picture hates Carl, and like they're all Team Lindsay and blah blah blah. And there was an article that came out, and Kyle's like, Lindsay was making a statement, and Andy's like, what was the caption? And Lindsay's like, "Girls Rule, Boys Drool," and Andy's like, oh no, it was good timing, huh?
I think it was a statement, but it was a subtle statement. I think
course
she
it was a
knew she would
statement.
get support on the thing. And I understand the girls being like, it's frustrating to be put in the middle and blasted with it.
Yes, of course it's going to be some sort of statement. Okay.
Yeah.
I have my girls around
The
me.
caption really wasn't, though. The
No,
caption was not the statement.
picture is the statement. Like how
was just,
it was
"I'm
a
hanging out
bigger
with the girls."
statement when she posted with the girls at her bridal shower and said, "This is what the summer really brought me."
That was like a in your face, like I am making a blatant statement. This was just like, hey, look at this.
Yeah, which whatever. I think it was just the perfect timing of the perfect storm of like the perfect everything.
Oh, listen, she knew what she was doing with the subtle statement. Like she knew
for
what
everyone
it was
else,
do.
for everyone else who got caught in it, it was just the perfect timing.
Yes,
to be caught.
I don't think she wanted it to be like they hate Carl. That was not her goal.
No, but she's in PR. She knows this is gonna get girls commenting and being like, "Yeah, you rock.
Yeah, Linz,
Go
we're on your
you."
side. Love
Yeah.
you. Yes,
She's
that's what
in
she wanted.
PR. She knows what she's fucking doing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry the rest of y'all, Carl, don't know what to do.
That's the thing.
Go
Like,
eat your
Carl
old
is doing it too now. He is hanging out with all the boys and like posting his pictures with the boys. Like, it's okay to do this. But I
But you
understand then,
can't get
like,
mad when she does it at the right
yes.
time.
Yes.
Go eat your Old Bay goldfish and leave us alone. No, I'm just kidding.
Go eat your fucking goldfish and shut the fuck up.
So, Gabby early in the season wanted Paige and Lindsay to talk at their issues because they normally say they start out fine and then end fucking hating each other.
Yes.
So, Paige did think that Lindsay was great this summer and had a great time with her, but then at BravoCon, oh my god, the BravoCon drama. Paige found out that she had a photo shoot this summer and a friend of Lindsay's worked at the place and called Lindsay and they talked about sabotaging the photo shoot. And she found out from Carl in November and she was too distraught to go to her birthday. I was like, what's happening?
There's so much. First, Carl,
Do we
you're trying
trust
to
Carl though? That's my other thing now.
I believe this happened, but it is so stupid that now that you are broken up and at BravoCon, you want to stir that pot. The timing is shady as fuck, and I bet the story's embellished, but I believe this call happened.
Okay, that's fair. The call may have happened. Also, how do you sabotage a photo shoot though?
I don't know. I would need more details, and I don't think Carl would have those details because if this didn't happen, I think Lindsay would be like, "That's not what our conversation was about." Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about, and yes, I talked to her
because Lindsay
often.
didn't claim to know nothing.
Yeah, she's like, I don't recall. Like nobody fucking says that.
I do also, though, if I was Paige, fine, like don't trust Lindsay, but then I'd also be like, I don't really trust Carl. Because he could have told me over the summer. He could have told me in September when they broke up. He could have told me in October. He waits for my birthday at BravoCon to tell me this.
At BravoCon where he's trying to stir shit up between Lindsay and Paige.
Yeah, for the sake of his
so he doesn't have to be in the crossfires.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so like his like fight with Lindsay, let's call it, is like second tier, and Paige and Lindsay would go at each other for the next few months or even next summer, and
but
like
I also
he can
think
just be shielded.
Paige saying something like she could also be like, Carl told me the truth and you did, so his image looks better. He's friends with Paige. He's got
like Carl can be truthful, and he was only like lying or like being a part of this because he was protecting his relationship, but now he's the good guy who stands up against this type of behavior.
I would trust neither of them if I was Paige. I'd be like, first of all, you didn't sabotage my photo shoot, so like
that's the thing.
Get hit, whatever.
If something actually happened, I would understand why Carl's like, hey, this is actually what happened. Again, not at BravoCon.
That's the other
not the
thing. He's like, nothing happened, but she joked about it, and I'm like,
I don't get why Paige was in tears and couldn't go to her birthday. This would piss me off if I heard this. This would annoy me that like potentially somebody's trying to sabotage business dealings, but not enough to like
not go to my birthday,
ruin my entire weekend.
I know my Scorpio queen really was struggling there. My fellow Scorpio queen.
I was like, there has to be something missing from this story that like.
Yeah, it was too choppy. And then
weird.
Paige says that Lindsay and Danielle do things to physically come for her. And Danielle's like, what did I do? And then remember the paparazzi story with Craig from last year.
Danielle,
at the reunion, Paige yelled at Lindsay and Carl for calling the paparazzi, which Lindsay said she did not do. And Danielle sat there and fucking said nothing. And then this year, Lindsay was like, Paige, just so you know, that was Danielle. And then Danielle was mad that Lindsay threw her under the bus. And I was like, no, you threw Lindsay under the bus, but she was dead. Lindsay was already dead.
Get railed at, which is fine. You guys weren't friends. Like, listen, if I did something and then you and I are not friends and you're getting railed for it. Listen, I'm not going to get in the crossfires, but you can't be mad that Lindsay doesn't want to be in the crossfires either.
Yeah. You can't be mad when we're all
clears her name.
I clear my name. Yeah. Fucking, that's crazy.
I know. And then Lindsay should have told Danielle like that summer at some point. Like
I get Lindsay. I mean, Paige did say like water under the bridge kind of thing. So I think Lindsay was like, okay, we're cool, or like everything's good. Obviously, Paige says it and like she's a tick. We'll get there, but like a tick under Danielle, like another like you shamed me, you did something bad or whatever. But like,
I think it's I
why?
see how you move. Like, I am
Yeah,
cautious of
and
you
that's
because
fine.
of your actions are consistently like going out there and trying to do things against me. Whereas, like, Paige just says mean comments directly to Danielle or in the confessional. She's not going out and planting stories about
Yes,
her.
and I'm so sorry. I know I was doing a really roundabout way, but like going back to like my original point
Mm-hmm.
was that like the whole cast was like, "Oh, Lindsay's a terrible friend for what she did to
Yeah.
Danielle." And I'm sitting here going, "Danielle
No.
though, that was crazy that she just like she left Lindsay to dry, you guys." Like, and then they became friends. They became friends and she still didn't tell Paige the
True.
truth.
True.
I was like, how? And Danielle has copped to leaking shit to Dumois,
I
which is
Danielle.
crazy,
And the fact
Danielle.
that also like the Craig story is it true is even weirder. Like you're making things up. And they kept also wait, with the Craig story, they kept saying like Daniel kept saying I confirmed the story, and other people were like, you wrote the story. So I'm like, if you're
Are
writing
you
the
writing
story, that's
stories?
even
Yeah,
worse.
that's crazy. I am so, first of all, I support Paige in her I forgive
Hatred.
you, but I'm not going to forget because that's how I move.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends to this day that screwed me over once in 7th grade and I'll never forget it. So if and when you do it again, probably when, I'm not fucking surprised. That is how I
But you
think.
also will put yourself in situations to like trust them endlessly. It's like I know who you are, so like you sit over here.
Yeah, I know who you are. So I'm ready if I'm not invited to your next thing or you leave me out or you're mean. I
Mm-hmm.
know that's
I
coming.
know.
I'll forgive, but I'm not forgetting anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I support Paige in that. And I think she should continue to move like that. But then in between Lindsay and Danielle, I don't know why we turn on Lindsay. I'm Team Lindsay on that one. That's
Same.
ridiculous.
It also gave a great moment. Loved watching it.
Yeah, oh, it was fantastic. Okay, so now we gotta talk about Balloon Guy Joe because he was
I'm so mad that this guy gets time constantly.
anytime. So who knew literally that a guy that does balloons for a living would cause so much drama? But the whole
Stupid.
situation was weird. Danielle was hyping up Gabby or trying to, and rewatching it, she's like, I didn't really hype up that well. Gabby's issue was that Danielle has seen Gabby flirt and be successful in things, but still is telling Gabby that she is the problem.
Ugh.
Um, and Danielle apologizes for being mean and coming across like that. And Gabby says, like, look, the fuse was made already because everyone
Mhm.
kept saying things to Gabby all night. Danielle's just the one who lit it.
Yeah.
And then we talk about Danielle saying founder and CEO, which is probably the
It's still such an
funniest
embarrassing
line.
comment.
We should definitely like make merch of founder and CEO of this
Oh my
podcast.
god.
But
Danielle
Danielle,
doesn't get it.
no, she's like, I really try to recognize people's feelings as a founder and CEO. And Gabby says, you could probably say that you recognize
Without.
people's feelings without saying you're a founder and
Like
CEO.
that does nothing for how you interact with your friend.
Well, then Kyle says, like, Amanda's way more emotionally intelligent than him, and she's not a founder or a CEO.
Is that the first compliment Kyle Cook has ever given to his wife?
Well, he also hit her down and was like, she's not a CEO. Fuck that bitch.
That's
Backhand.
just the truth. That
He's
really
a
isn't a backhanded compliment.
Amanda's like, I don't want to be.
As a not founder and CEO, I'm super intelligent with my emotions.
Not me. I hate emotions. I shove them down. Okay, so now let's talk about Wes and Ciara's Summer of Love.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for
A lot.
this.
Oh my god, did you just crack your knuckles?
Yeah.
It's about to be another 4 hours of our life. So,
ready.
sparks flew immediately. Jesse was a little jealous that this other dude got someone in the house and he didn't. Sad. But Jesse at the rooftop bar that they went to called out Ciara for not having sex with Wes. Jesse says he probably shouldn't have done that, but they were all very close and like Wes and Ciara were hanging out every night and he wanted to make sure.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that
we didn't know
I
that.
didn't fully know. So like it's still a
It was
shitty
a little
comment,
serious,
but it makes more sense. Like they're hanging out so much on off camera. Every night they're spending together. Like that, I understand why Jesse would have the assumption that, like,
yes.
oh, I'm confused why you guys aren't sleeping together. But the
Yeah.
comment didn't need to be made on camera and blasting her.
Yeah, but Jesse just wanted to make sure that Ciara wasn't playing a game with Wes, with his boy. And then Ciara says, meanwhile, he was playing a game with me.
Oh!
And Paige goes, yeah, how the tables have turned, honey.
I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I've seen the press where West is like, yeah, like, I get cooked by Paige, but, like, rightfully so. Like, she didn't say anything that, like, I didn't deserve.
See, I think Wes has handled himself well in the press, too. So, like, he's not
Correct.
going to
So
be
I'm like,
canceled.
but
He's
I'm like,
fine.
oh, Paige is doing some work. Like, this is the only time I want to put somebody in the kitchen. Like, cook this man.
Can I just say, I've always said I think Paige and Lindsay, if they could get past their differences, would be a lethal combination. I think Ciara and Paige, not as lethal, but are also a lethal, scary
This was
combination.
chef's kiss.
Ooh, okay, so what happened when cameras went down? Wes says things continue to go forward. They live near each other, like 10 blocks away, so they would always see each other. They hung out all the time. They had slept together. Ciara went to Wes's parents' house in Missouri, stayed with his brother in Chicago, went to a wedding with him.
Wow.
They were dating. They were together. This is love. Remember when Paige said about Craig when Craig was like, I want you to come to Delaware and meet my parents? And she's like, you're obsessed with me, you love me, you want to marry me? That's this. You're obsessed with her, you want to marry her, you love her. This what?
Because it's not like you're just like, I want you to see my house. My parents are going to be out of town. Like, let's go stay in Missouri for a weekend and like hang out, just the two of us. No, you're going to his parents' house. You're staying with his brother in, I think, Chicago. Like, you're going to a wedding together. Like, you are ticking, like, everybody is asking, are you guys dating boxes?
You are meeting parents in the Midwest. I will not bring anyone home till I have a ring on my finger. Are you kidding me?
My family will meet my husband the day the wedding. Like, no.
Yeah, no. Because God forbid something happens like Lindsay and Carl. We can't.
Well, they're going to fall in love with me, and I don't need them to, like, think about me for the rest of their life.
Well, this is exactly what happened to Wes. See, we're very charming individuals. And Midwesterners, we are too nice. We fall immediately.
That's a thing.
Do you know, my sister dated a dude in high school, and my mom is still sometimes
I think about him. I've never met him, but he is so ingrained in your family stories. I think about him sometimes.
My mom sometimes goes, I miss his mom. And I go, it's a mess out here, okay?
That's code red. Like, you cannot introduce families to families until, like, you're engaged. Because
5 years. My mom took 3 years to be like, I don't really want to meet the fam because I'll get too attached. And look what has happened. So, no, you're bringing her home to your ranch? There's not enough people for your parents to hang out with to not think about Ciara.
No.
Holy shit. So Wes says they were basically dating, but they didn't have an exclusive conversation.
The way he already starts his conversation off being like, we were basically dating. Why can't you just say, like, for your own sake, sir, just say you're dating?
The minute you take me home, you're going to propose to me. No?
That's what I don't like. His actions and his words don't align, and that's what's annoying. Is like, West seems like a good guy, and then he just like fucks you over with his words, and that actually is worse. Like, I'd rather you
cheat on me or
talk
something.
Me.
Yeah,
okay, maybe not that. I'd rather you sweet talk me, and then like your actions aren't aligning and you're not showing up, than to show up and like, but say you don't want
this.
It's
so weird. It's so crazy. So he says he wasn't talking to other girls in the fall, but he was sleeping with other people in the summer, and he didn't.
I'm not mad at him for that.
That's fine. Yeah, he didn't tell Paige, when she asked, because him and Ciara hadn't figured out their thing. I do wish, in a way, he had just been like a little honest and just because I don't think they would have had a problem. If he's like, I don't know where Ciara stands.
I wish he would have said, because on the after show he was like, oh, I just like played around with my words. No. You flat out said you were not sleeping with anyone else. What he should have said is like, I appreciate your concern as her friend, but this isn't a conversation like I want to have with you.
I'd rather have it with Ciara.
I have it with Ciara. Yeah.
So Paige says, unfortunately, she believed him. And then Ciara said she believes Wes was just playing a game. She felt like Wes was with her for the show and for like, she says she has minimal clout on this show, but for the clout that she has. And it's
Mhm.
easier to latch onto someone than go into this alone, which I think we saw with Jesse Sullivan. Wes immediately latched to Ciara and we loved him and we were cheering for him. And then he has this big fan base and then he has to leave the house and do press and he knows he's going to be loved by the fans if he's with Ciara.
I don't think he looked at it like, oh, I'm going to latch on to Ciara specifically, but a storyline, like dating someone helps overall with every reality TV star and like getting like building your audience. Like it is just known from like a metric standpoint when like reality TV stars date, their numbers on socials increase. I don't think Wes is sitting there like looking at Ciara and being like, yep, like that'll help me overall. I think they did fall for each other. I
think so too.
I don't want to question his integrity on like whether he did or didn't like her, but I think in the fall he's sitting there being like, oh, this will help me.
That's what I think. I think in the summer he really did like her. I think in the fall he also still liked her, but I think he recognized how beneficial she was going to be for him.
Yeah, I think he saw the benefits.
Yeah, but
in the
aftermath.
But it was nothing in his decisions over the summer. No, I don't think.
But then I think ending things with her would mean different benefits, which we'll talk about. So,
well, I was like quite the opposite. I feel like you actually should have stayed with her. If he was so conniving, I think he would have stayed with her till the show started airing.
I want to get into it later, but I think he thought differently of the Bravo women fan base.
I think he played this wrong. If he was whatever he was thinking,
if he wanted the fans, if he wanted the pussy, fine, break up with her. A bunch of girls will sleep with you.
What people are saying is like, oh, what Ciara's saying is like, oh, you used me for the fan base, and I'm like, I don't think he played that out right.
No, he played that wrong. I think he goes to a bar, he meets a girl that doesn't really watch Bravo. He's like, I'm on a reality TV show. She sleeps with him, no worries. Me, I would probably be like, look, I'm kind of obsessed with you, but also you did Ciara dirty and I just can't have that. So
that's the thing. I am now like invested in the storyline. So like while it's airing, I'm not sleeping with this man because I want him and Ciara to work out. And then like now after the fact, I'm like, that's my bestie Ciara and you just fucked her over.
That's the problem is not only will we get attached to you, we get attached to her.
Yes.
And we've known her longer and we love her and we support her and we've seen
her.
It's not
a blanket statement that like people will just sleep with you because you're on a reality show. I want to like be friends with you and chill with you maybe, but like I'm not, no thank you.
Only just
I also don't want to be involved.
No, I don't want my name out there.
Keep it on the small screen. I don't want it in my apartment.
So, Ciara says she does think Wes was being sincere to a point. Wes says it's insensitive to question his sincerity because the relationship was what it was and they both had feelings. And Paige says that Wes just proved Ciara's point because when cameras went down and the DM started flowing, Wes didn't need Ciara anymore and he was out.
Wait, but I don't believe that statement because they dated-ish for like 4 months after cameras went down. So like that's not really true.
Then the show aired and the DMs came in.
Yeah, but they broke up before the show started airing. So like that statement doesn't.
He was casted.
Correct. Yeah, things started being posted on social media, so I kind of understand it, but I don't think that's a direct link because they like the cameras being down. I think his name getting out there is.
I think him being announced as in the show in December was like. Oh, DMs are here.
It's like, oh wow, look at this whole world I have in front of me. Like I have a path. I have a fork in the road in front of me. I get to date this awesome girl or explore what this world is without dating someone.
It's like when you're in high school and you're dating someone, but you're like, oh, but college.
Gotta go to college.
That's what
that
he's doing.
A really good comparison.
That's him. Which like no way is like a good way, but unfortunately for you, like you're filmed doing it and we know who you're going to college with and who you're leaving behind. So like we'll judge you.
That's the thing. There's multiple things here where it's like, it's cool if you like date her and you don't want to commit and whatever, but be honest about it and then go on your journey and like move on and accept that like she's going to hate you and you did her wrong and whatever. And also, you should have sat there and been like, I wasn't the man I like thought I could be and I wanted to go down this other route and I didn't want to be dating anybody when the show aired. And you know what? You're an asshole, but at least you're an honest asshole. Instead, we got these like weird alluding comments where he's like trying to be like, no, I'm the good guy. And then you're like, but he's like saying that he liked the DMs. Like, just don't say that stuff. I saw a TikTok commenter being like, you didn't need to say this stuff. It
I
was
think
weird.
that's where it comes wrong for Wes. Is like you're not making yourself look good.
It's
Just
the nice guy thing.
it's the
oh,
I'm
I'm
actually
a nice guy.
That's it. You cover the douchebag with the funniness, and then you claim you're a nice guy when you're actually the douchebag.
I think he can like survive this, but he needed to be knocked down a peg, and he's got to like check himself and stop this now.
I think he is being checked, but I think he needs to just shut the fuck up and be like, yeah, I did wrong.
Shut the fuck up and tell your jokes, and that's it.
These men need to stop talking for 2 seconds.
They need to stop defending themselves.
Yeah, just own it and be done with it.
You can tell your little jokes, stop defending yourself.
So Wes said they had a talk, and he thought they were on the same page in December.
Which tells me it was a Carl type of talk.
And Paige is like, no, because you go to the bar, and Ciara went home crying. So different pages.
Oh.
Wes had told Ciara he couldn't commit for show-related reasons.
Gross.
That's bad. So then, you know what's even worse is you're telling her that you like her, and you have shown her you like her so much, and she has put effort into this, and you're like, but the show that I've been on for 1 season is probably more important than you. Like that's so sad.
But again, it's okay to choose whatever you want, but
okay,
own it
she's
then.
Gonna be hurt. Yeah.
Own it fully.
It's similar.
Be the asshole. It's okay to make an asshole decision.
It's just similar to when the guy goes to college and the girl is like, oh, sad. It sucks. It's really sucky, but like own why you're breaking up. He's like, no, we were on the same page.
That's the thing.
And Ciara's like, no.
I've had to have a conversation like this where you're like, okay, I really like you. However, I don't want a relationship because of like this whole world out here. Like, I just don't want this right now. And it's really hard to have that and be honest about it and hurt someone's feelings. But you have it and you say, and I'm not pursuing this any further.
Yeah. And it's going to suck for her because now she didn't come above the show. She's really hurt. She put her heart out there. And she will get over it. But you need to say, I'm the bad guy in the situation. Exactly. I get it. And that's me.
Nick Viall always says, if you're going to, like, when you break up with someone, you need to, like, be okay being the bad guy in their story.
Yes. Because you're going to be. Similar to Lindsay and Carl.
Don't try and save their feelings.
Lindsay's never going to she's going to hate you even if she's dating someone else. You are the villain in her story. It's okay. And she's the villain in yours. And that's okay. Let it be. Mm-hmm. So Andy asks if Wes was separating himself from Ciara because the show was airing and he could get separate opportunities elsewhere.
This is so bad.
And Wes says no, but the way to navigate this would have been harder with someone else's feelings.
What?
For example, Wes has done some watch parties and there's pictures and the Bravo fan base is mainly women. So like, is it bad he's taking pictures with women?
This was so bad.
And Amanda goes, Kyle does that all the time. There's a level of trust and understanding.
Yeah. And communicating what's going on in your life and like boundaries. Like,
yes. And
it's okay to take a picture with a woman who's a fan, but you should not like have your arm resting on their hip, you know, like,
yeah,
it's about how you move while in a relationship. And if you don't know the difference, that's concerning. Because it doesn't matter if there's a show or not, because like you have girl space friends and the way you treat them is how you should be treating the fan base. Like you shouldn't be coupley with them or whatever.
That's a really good point. Because also I was just thinking like, fine, you don't think you can get over the temptations of like being a fan favorite in a women's fan base.
Gross.
But like to use that to break up, that looks worse for you.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're telling me in a relationship you can't take a photo with another woman and not be weird?
Not sleep with her? Nope. Can't do it.
Like, Ciara dodged a bullet, and Wes needs to examine his life. True. This is the worst part of his little package. I was like,
I do not want to date him anymore. It's so exhausting.
It literally, his stock in Bravo world, insane compared to like Jesse's
number one guy in the group.
Did you see that article where West was like in the New York Times where it's like West Wilson, like number one guy on Bravo, and everybody's like, I'm sorry, he's in his first season. This is a bit premature.
Well, someone was on Twitter was like, or whatever it's called now, was like, oh, can you imagine like Paige and Ciara seeing this article come out, like knowing what's coming from at the reunion? And I was like,
so true.
Terrible. Okay, but so Paige says, this is the wrong group of people to talk about like photo ops with because they've all done it. And I have proof. I have a picture with Craig while he was dating Paige. I have a picture with Austin while Lindsay was into him. I have a picture with Kyle when he was married. I have pictures with all these men and I never felt sexualized by any of them.
Yeah.
And I slept with 0 of them.
Also, again, you should be able to do this in your normal life, whether you're on a reality TV show or not.
Yeah, and
is like take a picture with somebody platonically.
Well, Amanda's also like, the fan base is really respectful of relationships. Like, you might get some nudes in your DMs, but like at events, no one's openly hitting on you. Which I have to say, agreed. I didn't like walk up to, I don't know, Craig and be like, "You're so hot." He would have just said like, "Thanks."
Okay,
and then
even if somebody does, that's just normal life too. You get hit on when you're in a relationship and you say, "Oh, thanks so much." Like, I'm actually seeing, like,
yeah, I'm dating.
You just brush it off, or you like say you're in a relationship if it really is super forward, like.
But you know what 90% of the Bravo fans are going to say to Craig and Kyle and Austin and Paige?
I love your girlfriend.
No, but be like, "I love you guys together. I love this relationship. I want more of it. When are you getting married? When are you getting like,
that's
we
where
want
I'm
it."
like, if he, because there's 2 versions, him wanting the girls in the fan base and him wanting fans in the fan base. And if he wanted fans in the fan base, he should have stayed in a relationship with Ciara. That's why I'm like, he's not that calculated. But because he didn't think
fine. If he didn't like her, fine. But like, don't do all these things and then break up with her for show related reasons.
That's it. Crazy. I think he separately already had commitment issues. I get it. This is how I am. Like, you fly too close to the sun and then you're like, "No, thank you. I cannot do this. This is getting too serious, terrifying."
Yeah.
Red alarms go off in your head and he's freaking out and he goes and blames it on the show and like public appearances and all of that. And it's stupid. Just say, "I can't do this. It's freaking me out. I don't want to do therapy. This any further."
Yeah,
there's not. Yeah, Amanda looked at him and was like, "You need to sort that out, babe."
Yeah, figure it out. So Ciara says also, like, if he wanted to, you would, or if you wanted to, you would. If you don't, you won't. And Wes says they talked about how Wes was getting tagged and shit, and it would say like Ciara and the newbie dude, and he didn't want to be just some fucking guy and be Ciara's puppet. And then Paige goes, "You'd be so lucky to have that spot."
Yeah. You know what this was giving? Simone Biles' husband.
Yes! Yes! That guy, whatever his fucking name is.
I do know what his name is because
Biles' husband. That is this fucking guy. It's like, oh yeah, even though the person I'm with has many years on me and is so beloved and talented,
and accomplished,
why would I want their name associated with me? I'm my own amazing person. You can fuck yourself right off.
You know what? I want a Jason Kelsey. I want a Jason Kelsey who cancels his commencement speech because his wife's giving a speech and he wants her to have her spotlight.
You immediately need to make a TikTok about the Simone Biles husband thing.
I've been waiting for the moment where I find the clips that are like brand. What 2 clips give off the same moment.
That is so on brand. You need to do that immediately.
Okay, it's probably already posted by the time this comes out. No. By the time this gets released to the public, my TikTok is already out.
No one else will have that idea.
At Vanderpasta.
Yeah. That was amazing. So Kyle says Wes overthought the show and like deprioritized the relationship. Gabby thinks Wes used the show as an excuse because of his commitment phobia. Like, it's easy to cop out and use the show as an excuse.
I think that's what happened.
Andy's is like, "Okay, you brought Ciara home to Missouri, though. Like, what's your family thing?" Andy gets it. Andy knows that
this is energy. I'm like, your family loves me, and you have to hear about me every day.
His parents love Ciara. His dad voiced concerns to Wes about his lack of commitment.
Give it to him.
And Wes's parents were the first ones to give him anxiety about this experience because they think he's going to look like an asshole and an idiot, and they love Ciara. So
I like how they kept it real with him.
Which, I think the way you did it was slimy, and you are going to look like an asshole.
She's incredible. You should have never done it. You are going to look like an asshole. Those are the 2 takeaways.
That's it. So Ciara gets emotional. So I love that Paige picks up right where Ciara can't.
Yes.
And says Ciara really liked Wes, and people don't realize how like sweet Ciara actually is. And the whole week leading up to the reunion, Ciara has just been saying that she doesn't want to cry in front of him.
I feel this. Like, I don't want them to like see me down.
But Paige says it's real and Ciara's vulnerable, and like he should see this. He should see what he's done to her.
I also hope as like a benefit to Ciara, like people got to see her softer side and get to see her softer side. And like, I was already a Ciara stan before this, but the people who did like think she was cold like have changed their opinion of her. So I hope, like, even though this is a terrible moment, I don't wish this on anyone. A lot of terrible moments on reality TV really lift up the, I'll call it like victim or the person being like
It's very
in their worst
Phoenix
moment.
from the ashes.
Yeah, like Whitney Port's husband always says, like, you can't have your best moment on reality TV unless you have your worst moment. Like, your worst moment propels you into your best moment, typically, like the Ariana moment. So while this isn't as, like, polarizing and, like, big, like, I hope this gave people, like, a view of Ciara to, like, change their opinion and, like, give her such a positive moment despite this horrible heartbreak.
Agreed. So did the sex take it to another level? Ciara's like, yeah, because she's not out here sleeping with everyone.
This is me.
Same. She's very guarded and reserved, and she doesn't want to give herself to everyone. And she just doesn't have the capacity to spread herself so thin. And, like, this is an important step. And, like, Kyle starts crying because it was very emotional to listen to. Ciara says she's just cautious. And this is how I feel whenever I watch fucking Love Island and someone's like, I've slept with over 400 people. I'm like, first, where do you find the time? Second of all, sex means obviously nothing to you.
That's the thing. Like, it means something to me, and I don't think it would be good if I didn't care about the person.
Agree. I mean, it's not good unless you care about the person.
Like,
Jesus
there's
Christ,
more
I
to
hate
it
every time. Yeah.
Than just the like
I
mechanics.
wake up with regrets every single time. So, in the end, did Wes want something casual? And Wes said he didn't know where it was going to go, but he does feel bad.
So stupid.
And it wasn't his intention to hurt someone. And Amanda says it just makes her upset because all summer they were really championing this whole, like, Ciara Wes thing, especially to Ciara. And then Wes couldn't commit. So, like, why did he do this to her? And it's just a pattern at this point. So, like, Wes needs to figure it out.
Work it out or stop fucking with people.
Yeah.
Like, go to therapy.
Dating.
You know what? His redemption arc, he needs to start going to therapy.
Yeah, we need to see it on the show.
Go talk to Lindsay about going to therapy, episode 1, and then, like, how she, like,
hey, Lindsay, you're not activated
therapy
anymore.
Yeah. How did you change so much? I'm gonna, like, work on my commitment issues.
Yeah.
There's your storyline, bud. Just pitching it to you.
So, what if Wes had been honest about not committing? Ciara says she gave him an out after horseback riding. She said, if you feel like you want to cut ties because the show is going to air, then you should. No hard feelings. Let's end it here. And he was the one that said no.
And the thing is, I think she would have kept the storyline going through the season so that it's not like he had a bad moment on camera.
Yeah.
They could have just cut ties and said that, like, oh, it was a summer fling. It just kind of fizzled out. Like, I don't think she would have raked him over the coals had he chosen that at that moment.
I agree.
Because she did it off camera for a reason.
I agree. And then after that conversation, he invited her to Missouri and they went to Chicago and they went to the wedding. And then he's saying now, like, out loud that he wanted to cut it before it got messier. And she's like, at what point was this not messy?
It was messy. This is
I met your
like,
parents. It's
situationship, like, differences. Like, when you're in a situationship and you're both looking at it differently and one's scared to commit, I'm usually the one scared to commit. So it's not just a guy-girl thing. Like, it happens. But at some point, you cannot get your family involved and go to weddings. Like, that is messiness.
Dude, we're in Missouri. There's no way that's not
from
messy.
New York too. We're not flying to the middle of the country for casualness.
No, for a situationship. So Ciara feels let on. Jesse then goes, I don't want to get crucified, but
I was like,
and Ciara and Paige both go, then shut the fuck up.
Don't speak.
And Jesse says he doesn't think Wes handled it perfectly, but he was trying to figure it out. And to be in a relationship, you have to be 100%. And Wes was exploring it and he took it too far. But he was trying and he didn't cheat on her. And it was just two people who had a good time and that's okay. And I think to an extent.
Yes. He's not, like, we don't need to vilify him by any means.
He's not a Sandoval.
We can have discussions about where he went wrong. Yes. And, like, you did it at the expense of her feelings. And I don't think you see that. And that's the problem.
And, like, your reasoning is bullshit.
Your reasoning is bullshit. You've done no self-reflection about it, being like, yeah, this is my commitment issues, to change the narrative now that we're reunioning.
Yeah.
6 months later after you broke up.
So after this, Ciara's obviously upset, and Paige goes, the bar is so low for men. Which we know we hate enough of the men, so. But Ciara says, you know what? She told everyone all summer how intentional she was, and all she did was get shit on for being guarded and cold. And this is why, you guys. And Wes also called Ciara cold to Kyle for not talking to him. And yeah, she cut him off, no contact, because that's what she fucking does when you hurt her.
You don't want to pursue things with me. You made it messy and then didn't want to pursue things.
Yeah.
And you're mad that I don't want to speak to you? Like, now you're trying to villainize me? You have got to be fucking for real.
And Ciara says, it's mean to take someone to your parents' house and try to sleep with them all summer, and you know how intentional and careful they are, and you just get what you wanted and leave them with the bare minimum.
Absolutely. So well spoken.
Yeah, and Jesse's, again, is like, okay, the way you did it is bad, but like, it's not wrong. And Paige says, no one's faulting Wes for coming on the show that's gonna air with women viewers who will love the new guys. Like, the whole cast gets the allure. But what they are saying is they're also Ciara's friend. So they see the allure of Ciara. How could you not? You'd have to be blind. So they couldn't understand how the fame was more enticing than this in real life.
Yes.
Because Paige continues, I love her.
Because you can have both too. Yeah. Like, you're not going to not be famous just because you're dating Ciara.
Yeah.
Again, you're actually going to be more famous.
And Paige says they live their real lives, and then there's a camera. They don't live their real lives because there's a camera. And also, two people had the worst summer of their whole fucking lives. And
this was the worst.
Wes is in the group chat talking about how this is the best season of the show, and it's so exciting. Like, two people literally called off an engagement.
Read the room.
And Ciara's like, your spatial awareness is off. And I went...
You can be excited with your boy Jesse on your own chat, like being like, wow, like we're being received so well. Because that is true. Two things can be true at the same time. You can be pumped for your storyline and you're being received well. But like in the group chat, no, leave that shit at the door.
First of all, Paige ate him alive. And I
absolutely
loved every
in a calm manner.
Every fucking second. Second, the group chat comment. Could you imagine being Lindsay and Carl being like, this is our life? Can you stop?
And they brought him in. They brought him into the show. How?
You know?
I feel like that is more damning. I like hate to like put Ciara's feelings to the side, but like that shows me his character and who he is as a person.
That shows why he's on the show.
The other thing is just you're a shitty boy and you took it too far, and like, you know what, that just is, it happens more often. But you did this to your friends and there was no benefit either.
I think that's it. What you care about is so fucking wrong. Like, you're not caring about people's feelings, not just Ciara's, but like Lindsay, Carl, the rest of the cast levels. Who are dealing with this.
Yeah.
Like Gabby, who's trying to comfort Lindsay, and like Paige, who's trying to comfort Ciara, and Amanda, who's trying to just fucking live and like has the emotional intelligence.
There's an audience in a group text. Like, let's all be honest. Like, we are more reserved. We're not as honest when it's a group text versus a one-on-one text. So in front of other people, this is what you're saying. And you broke up with Ciara probably in private. You are doing this in public, basically.
And he's doing it for the fans and the fan base, right? But he doesn't know us. He's never watched a fucking episode of the show. He doesn't know our fan base. But if he did,
I know, but he was being lifted up so much at this time.
So wrong.
Gross.
And you know what? If you're going to play the game, you better play the game right. I'm not saying the game is right to begin with, but if you're in the game, fucking play it a little better, my guy.
See, it makes me nervous
now that to have a rise and fall, my God.
I know, but I'm nervous now that he's gotten his lashing and now he's gonna be so fucking fake in the next few seasons because he like doesn't want to trip up. So then he's gonna be this like fake ass reality TV star now.
I think though people are going to be more inclined to pick fights with him, and I'd love to see it. We've never seen him in a fight, right? We've seen Jesse Solomon get yelled at and lectured, and he apologized. We've seen Luke get in fights with Craig, with like Paige, with Hannah,
with Kyle. That one, Kyle. Like, I don't like
that was
you.
The best fight of my life. Right? We've seen like Carl and Kyle fight with people. We have yet to see the rest of the house dislike West for something.
True.
And not in a reunion base.
That's not the
surveillance camera. Let's fucking see it.
When you're drunk. Like when you come home from a party. Like Jesse saw him, and we saw the surveillance of him getting reamed for leaving them at a party. Like, what happens when Wes
Let's
fucks up
fucking
on a
see
night
it.
out?
What happens when he's living with Ciara? He brings a girl back.
Let's see.
Let's see him talk in his room about how the fans don't like. Let's see where his actual.
That's the thing. If he mentions one thing about the fans on next season, I'm done with him.
I mean, I think the group chat is damning in itself.
True.
Wild. Well, next time, Jesse knew Paige was taken when he flirted with her.
It's just funny.
Amanda struggled with depression. Lindsay is being villainized, and Lindsay was recording things for her safety. God, just the nuance. We've talked for 2 hours about this.
I'm stressed.
All the nuances of
and it's going to be way
this.
worse next episode because it's the end. The most impactful stuff happens.
I know.
Second reunion. At least it's only 2. I did find out it is only 2 episodes. We don't have 3. I'm over the 3 reunions with Bravo.
Yeah, I'm done. Okay, so we do have some thoughts to go through. 3 exactly. So the first one comes from Lauren, and Lauren says, one curious thing that happened with these shows that have long-term casts is that these reunions are talking more and more about being in the show rather than what we saw on camera. I do too. I'm like into it.
It sets the scene, and I like whenever they're like, hey, we did say this off camera, like for context.
The Ciara and Wes is a great example. I feel for Ciara because I'm also a very guarded person who never wanted to share my feelings with people. To be broken up with because of the possibility of other girls would have crushed me. At the same time, I understand that Wes is youngish and experiencing fame for the first time. The season cast isn't going to feel sympathy for him because they've lived through it for so long.
Yeah.
Paige is my MVP for the season. The way she stood up for her friend during that segment was amazing. She was able to support her friend who she knew didn't want to talk because she didn't want to cry without making her friend sound pathetic was perfect. And I also love that she was able to understand where Wes was coming from and articulate the specific error he made versus saying you're just an ass, which would have been my approach. Same. I would have looked at him and been like, I'm going to kill you in your sleep, bitch.
Well, and that's a difference of this show with others. Is like, this is a friend group, so you like kind of have to be friends with Wes, you know, when we leave this. And so it's not just about raking people over the coals at the end of the day. It's about like letting people know what the truth is and what's happening, but being able to move forward after this too.
Lauren also says, after the whole season of Lindsay and Carl, I'm not sure that I need to hear any more about them. I love how Andy kept coming back to how wrong they were for each other. And that's where I am. I'm not either team because they just needed to end. I don't need more specific examples of what they did off camera to prove that.
No,
I agree. We're tired.
Let's all keep it moving. We're
about Wes and Ciara and those nuances more, honestly. So, Lindsay R says, I'm sad about the stuff with Wes. I really enjoyed watching him throughout the season, but I'm disappointed he messed up. Now Ciara is going to have more boundaries, like not meeting family or not going to weddings unless you're committed. People are going to say she's even more harsh and cold, but it's not her fault. Imagine if he's back next summer and she has to watch him talking to other girls. Hate that for her.
Me too.
Which I think is what will happen, because I do think Wes is good TV, especially with Jesse.
I think they're back. She never had to walk this dynamic with Austin. She only had to do it for one weekend when it got real shitty with Lindsay, but like they're on different shows. Like now this is basically the Austin situation over again, and now she has to live with him.
I'm hoping Ciara has done a lot of therapy and working through it so she can, I'd never be ready to live in this house. I hope she channels Lindsay as in I just see him as a person and not with any emotion.
Her and Lindsay could really bond over having to live with their exes.
They should really hang out. How many rooms are we going to have though? Because usually we're coupled up and now we're not coupled up.
Make the boys share.
Yeah, bunk
The girls always have to share.
I think Ciara and Paige. I think Paige would be like, you're a welcome addition to me.
Ciara and Paige, master, all girl gang, happening in the master. Get ready with me.
Can you put a second bed in there for like Gabby?
That's true. The master. It's not weird if there's 2 beds in there.
No, and
it's
then
so massive.
Lindsay
also, did you know that there's a giant
there?
chandelier? Did you see that photo that's floating around of the giant chandelier in the master bedroom?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, wow, you should really show this more.
They should. It looks fancy.
It's huge. I'd be so scared it would fall on me while I'm sleeping in that bed.
You know what, though? If there's one way to go, I want it to be while I'm asleep.
I don't need a chandelier falling on
But
me,
I'm
though.
asleep. I wouldn't even know. Okay, last comment from Tyranny says, I appreciate Andy thanking Lindsay and Carl on behalf of America for not getting married. It made me feel, or I feel so bad for Ciara, but when she was talking about how we all know she likes funny guys, when has anyone thought Austin was funny? I'm
I just think he's
guilty.
tall. I don't think he's funny.
I think he's goofy. Also, Southern Charm is another show with low expectations for men.
Very true.
That
and
is
like
the worst. You think
the
we're
dynamics
harsh?
are different.
You think we're harsh to these men? Thank God we don't have a Summer House podcast because I would never stop shitting on those
Southern
men.
Charm, but yes.
What's it called?
But I also think it's easy to make fun of Shep and like
Craig
all the people
and, yeah.
on Southern Charm. That's low hanging fruit. I don't think
Craig's
it's funny.
easy. Yeah, that's why I love when Craig shows up and I'm like, it's Craig again. Tierney says, I will give Austin charming, maybe, but only because he got Ciara. Lindsay
Charming.
and Madison, plus many more. Well, Madison has high expectations.
It's his height. It's his height.
Yeah, he's just a big cheater. Anyway, Tierney says, I think Danielle was the one who called the paparazzis on Lindsay and Carl. She definitely sent the blind item about Craig and didn't deny when was asked point blank. She tried to deflect. She was moving shadily under the guise of not wanting to hurt Lindsay. Lindsay will spin it when she's deflecting, but she flat out denied calling the paps, and also when Paige accused her of the blind last year. I just got a weird vibe from it. That's true. When Paige was like, you're going to sabotage my photo shoot, Lindsay said, I do not recall.
She said weird stuff. She didn't say I didn't do that.
She's always said no.
Yeah, that's a good point to pick up on her like cues.
Wow, you think Danielle did it? That bitch.
I mean, you could convince me. I'm not saying no.
I mean, yeah.
I'm in for the lore.
I love a conspiracy theory. Yeah. Tierney says, speaking of Paige, I'm curious if they got the whole BravoCon thing more because Lindsay looked genuinely shocked by that. I love when Paige if they get into the whole BravoCon thing. I don't think so. I think we're over that. I love when Paige took Wes down a peg, especially because she warned him what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Decent part 1. Bring on the rest. I'm still saying it. It will be a 3-part reunion.
No, I have confirmed it is 2.
Oh my God. We don't need 3. We just need 2.
They don't ever overdo it on Summer House. They like fill it with the right enough
fluff, good show.
Good stuff. Like we gotta stop dragging out reunions. Yeah. It's annoying.
But this was a good one. I genuinely love
Summer House, top show.
I can honestly say I genuinely love all these people on my TV and at the reunion. I think they're all really
I don't
good.
hate any of them.
No. It's a good
Danielle is my like lowest tier, then it goes Wes. They're not doing great things now.
Yeah, Wes hasn't even like, I wish he would just argue or something. Give me something, you know?
He should just shut the fuck up.
Sitting here yelling at him.
And say he's going to therapy.
Yeah. Okay, but great. So join us next week. Do all the things. And yeah, we'll talk to you then.
Thanks for joining. Bye.